Go Pizza presents SCP. The Steve Dangle Podcast with your hosts, Steve Dangle and Adam Wilde.
Steve, we'd like to start the show.
This was not my idea. This was not Iceberg's idea.
Is it Iceberg? Are you Iceberg in the show?
No, I'm not. This is Jesse going, Steve seems aggravated, so let him start the show because it'll probably be funny.
What
so
happened?
I'm walking down the hall, and the thing that happens every month or so, like every 2 months, I'd say, happened again.
Is that when Steve gave up all hope?
Steve said, I've deleted Twitter off my phone and my computer. I logged off all of it on my computer.
Oh,
and
man.
I'm done with Twitter forever.
Twitter's the worst.
It is.
Twitter's just terrible.
Usually that's just the off season for you.
Yeah. Well, it's evolving. I'm improving. Like any young prospect. Soon, I'll be a full 200-foot player and just won't have it anymore. And I won't miss it. I won't miss it in the slightest.
Why is it bothering you now?
You'll see me on there, folks. I'm going to, you know what? Maybe there will be a campaign. Or maybe I'll have a link to something that I want to post. I'll post that. That's it. That's it. I'm done. Listen, it's not good for me to read the mentions. It's not good for me to even tweet because I send shitty tweets when I'm in a bad mood. Isn't the lesson to be learned here? It's not for me. It's not for me. Goodbye.
The lesson.
It's not for me.
The lesson.
I have a podcast. I have a YouTube channel. I got all kinds of other poisonous shit. I'll just get rid of the worst one. I'll kill the basilisk.
I think the lesson to be learned is that sometimes Twitter is bad, but most of the time you can find something hilarious like what I'm about to play you right now. And this comes, put your headphones on. This will cheer you up. And this is from Twitter. And many of our listeners sent this to us, but you missed it because you don't have it.
Good. No, I can't hear.
And Jesse knows exactly what we're talking about.
I did listen to this.
You can't hear me?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, okay. Can you hear me, Jesse?
Yes.
Okay. This is your boy, Max Kellerman.
Who?
Max Kellerman.
What?
The guy that sits across from Stephen A. Smith.
Okay.
So here's how Max Kellerman actually sounds.
Yes, Kawhi is better than Kobe was.
I think that's ridiculous. It's hard to get into why because I'm trying to explain. I'm trying to be respectful.
That is just the clip.
Now, the best part, because you can't see it, everybody listening, but the best part of that clip is the guy in the middle who gets up and walks away.
Jay Williams.
Jay Williams, because of how absurd Max Kellerman is.
Yes, Kawhi is better than Kobe was.
I walk out on Richmond Street right now and find a total stranger. I'll have more chemistry with them. I swear to God. I walk out there and I find a total stranger. I will have better chemistry with them.
You get the sense
Holy
that, like,
shit. That's awful.
Like, now, part of this is set up by producers and that sort of thing, but can you imagine being poor Max Kellerman and be like, all right, so this is what my producer told me to say, or even worse, he believes it. But no one, not even Raptors fans, thinks that Kawhi Leonard is better than Kobe Bryant.
It's all awful. Yeah, you know what? That is terrible. I can't believe it's a TV station in the States. Here, let's change the channel. Psst, Canada is soft. It just is. It's soft. Ah, fuck. Turn the thing off. Turn everything off. Howard Beale made a great point.
What was that?
Just turn off your screens. Turn off your televisions. Turn off your iPhones. Turn off everything. Right in the middle of the sentence I am speaking. Turn it off. It's all poison. Fuck.
Actually, turn it back on.
Why?
Put your headphones back on. Ready?
Well, I had to work here. You're right. No, I should be. You're right.
Okay, you ready?
Scared of anything.
Was Draymond
And it
scared
comes
of
to-
something?
No, but the difference is that Draymond is usually arguing and fighting with the refs. Patrick, if
Did you guys hear that?
The video when they show Patrick,
Can you hear it?
Did you hear that?
No, let's try it one more time.
Go back to 5:45 on
5:45.
the video.
I believe someone climaxed on right into the microphone is what I heard.
All right, ready?
One more time.
Pitbull himself. Patrick Beverly is that kind of guy, and he's feisty. He ain't scared of anything.
Was Draymond
And it comes
scared of
to-
something?
No, but the difference is that Draymond is usually arguing and fighting with the refs.
What?
So Max Kellerman,
Is that what?
by accident, farted on air.
Hold on. Hold on.
And he goes-
No way.
There's a New York Post article
No.
No.
that says ESPN's Max Kellerman allegedly farts on air, then passes blame.
Hang on.
Pitbull himself. Patrick Beverly is that kind of guy, and he's feisty. He ain't scared of anything.
Well, is Draymond
And he
scared
comes
of
to-
something?
No, but the difference is that Draymond usually argue.
Do you hear that? Oh! Do you hear it?
One more
That's
time.
so
The end of the
poorly
fart.
timed.
Yeah.
Patrick Beverly is that kind of guy, and he's feisty. He ain't scared of anything.
Well, is Draymond
And he comes
scared of
to-
something?
No, but the difference is that Draymond usually argues.
And then it's the
Watch, look at the video when it
Wait, do they?
Adam needs it one more time.
One more-
It's
okay.
It's
and then after the listen for a
yeah. He does the cough, then the fart. He completely mistimes it.
Okay.
anything.
Well, is Draymond
And he comes
scared of
to-
something?
No, but the difference is that Draymond usually arguing.
Now I hear it. Wow. Oh my God.
my
So
God.
it's okay. So you hear him cough, but ultimately it's just it's him.
missed
It's so
There's no
usually,
overlap.
If you have to fart, you usually go fart. You know, like that. But he coughs first, draws attention to himself, and then farts.
There's no overlap. Cough, cough, fart.
Hang on.
It went like that. It was like we will rock you. Cough, cough, fart.
All right,
like
here-
just hard like that.
Here we go.
G. Smith was a nightmare for everybody.
Eric
Until he got
Bledsoe
hurt.
right now. Eric Bledsoe
Bledsoe's
do
a
that
little
to you.
Pitbull himself. Patrick Beverly is that kind of guy, and he's feisty. He ain't scared of anything.
Well, is Draymond
And he comes
scared of
to-
something?
No, but the difference is that Draymond usually argues.
Wow. Now, okay. So they said that he passed blame? Did they
Yeah,
say
so afterwards, the
Thank God you guys had this today.
ESPN's crew, Dan Labertard's show, tried to get the bottom of the story. Right before I got upset, I saw this, and then even though I just said it, I couldn't hear it. He said he couldn't hear it. Max Kellerman denied it to Dan Labertard, who called him out for farting on air.
So he just denied it?
Yeah.
Come on, Max, have a better answer than that, man. Don't just deny it. Like, have some fun. Like, at least Stephen A. Smith had some fun. Remember that thing like a round ago in the playoffs, and there was a fight or something, or it was towards the end of the season where everybody thought Stephen A. Smith signed his big contract and then jumped on the court with Michael
yeah.
Beasley and like.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was a Lakers game actually.
When I saw that tweeted, I was like, oh wow, Stephen A. really jumped on the court.
Was just a security guard who looked like him?
He looks exactly. Oh my God.
got his exact hairline, like his profile is like perfect.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. The sun's shining today. We live in a great city.
Barely. Partial sun, at
I'm
best.
not too worried about what's happening on Twitter. I think that you are reading too much into it, my friend. I think that once this, like, we've had a really just full disclosure. Anybody that doesn't live in Toronto, we've had a really shitty spring. And so it's been tough. It's been tough on our guys like Steve. But one thing I would like to do is I would like to deliver the crown for today's episode. And I think that you'll join me on this one again. I'm going to make an argument for the crown, okay?
Me for smartening up and deleting Twitter.
As you know, Crown Royal has partnered with the Steve Dangle podcast. Big fans of hockey, big fans of the Toronto Maple Leafs, as we are, and are just as depressed as they are. Now, what does that leave us with? Who is the hero each time we listen and watch the show? I think we're giving last night's crown to one Kyle Bukauskas
Oh yes.
for his interview with Brad Marchand. Now, the interview is actually quite funny because Brad Marchand just gives one-word answers. But the best part about it
being a baby
is that
I
from
think,
game.
what you
This
meant to
comes
say.
back to I think game 2 when an interview before game 2. So in game 1, Brad Marchand stepped on a Columbus Blue Jackets player's stick. Forgive me, I don't remember
Cam
exactly.
Atkinson.
Cam Atkinson.
And then he tried to stick him in the neck on his way back onto the ice. Anyway, sorry.
So
continue.
he snapped his stick
Very,
right before playoffs.
Got a lot of integrity. that guy.
Sorry, right before the game, and then
Great
the
guy.
next.
No, right before our face.
Sorry, right before the face-off. And then before the next game, Kyle Bukauskas said, did you have a chance to sharpen your skates?
Yeah, which not some people were going, oh well, it's because he said it. The way people pointed or painted Kyle Bukauskas was, hey Brad, did you have a chance to sharpen your skates so that you could step on someone else's stick? Yep, you piece of shit. That's how people painted it. He goes, you had a chance to sharpen your skates.
It was
and
funny.
Marchand goes, yeah. And he skates away. So I thought he found it was funny.
And he didn't want to
hasn't
laugh on
Ryan Reeves
camera.
done that?
Yeah.
Or no, it was Matthews. Matthews ended an interview where he just went, yeah, and skated off. I can't remember what it was, but he smiled and it was funny. Marchand is now at war with the media. Like,
What did he answered 30 questions after last night's game in 39 words?
it started long before last night.
Oh, okay.
Because there was one where he was a dick to someone. I can't remember what they asked exactly. And then David Pasternak stepped in and he went, I'll answer that because Brad's being a little crispy right now. So he said that. Then there was also the Game 2 incident with Bukauskas. And then there's his post-game with Bukauskas. And, one-word answers. He wouldn't want to draw attention to himself, except he agreed to the interview on national television. Okay, strange. And then he sat there for 19 questions. What's great, I think, is that the Bruins advanced last night, and all we're talking about is Brad Marchand and his shitty answers. That's great. That's a great teammate. He keeps proving it over and over again. So he's mad about what exactly? Brad Marchand is mad about what exactly? That Kyle Bukauskas made light of a shitty, uncalled thing that he did? I'm sorry. What else is there to talk about? Not a whole ton.
There's a extremely funny tweet from a guy who I guess is a broadcaster in Newfoundland, and I'm sure he's a nice guy, but he said that Kyle Bukauskas sort of got what he deserved, and a tip to young broadcasters: you might be able to joke with these players and coaches off camera, but you will not. You can't.
Yeah,
you can't just do it. You can't just do it off camera or on camera with them. So tip to you guys: don't do that. And I was like, well, tip to you: don't take that tip. Because the best broadcasters absolutely do that.
Kyle Bukauskas' career, though young, dunks on 95% of people in Canada. So maybe they should withhold their advice.
Does it dunk on Brad Marchand's career, though?
As a broadcaster, anyway, Kyle Bukauskas. No one had a problem with Kyle Bukauskas. And last night, I'd like to congratulate Kyle Bukauskas on officially becoming a Toronto Maple Leafs reporter, as everyone was referring to him.
He was
they
a
don't know
Canadiens
shit
reporter.
about this.
He's
And
national.
a Sens reporter, I'm pretty sure, is how he started. They don't know shit about his career. They just want to defend this guy who they defend over and over and over again. He's the worst.
That's why they
The
defend him.
actual worst, this guy.
This reaction is what they want, though.
Yeah.
Your
No,
reaction
it's not.
today is what
they
they
didn't
want.
do this intentionally.
Yeah,
But they love
I
Brad
think they
Marchand
just
is
suck.
winning right
They
now.
just suck.
Who they?
The whole fucking team. I'm so
The
sick
Bruins?
Oh, last night they get away with murder again. Again.
Now.
It's watering down the cup. It is. I do not acknowledge. Dude, if they win the cup, I'm not making.
Stanley Cup.
Dude, if they win the cup, I'm not making a video. Like, I don't give a fuck. They're making me fall out of love with hockey this playoff run. I swear to God.
So-
I swear to
Boston
God.
Bruins.
I
So
haven't
I would
watched a
say-
full hockey game in like weeks.
Yeah.
So I would say Kyle Bukauskas gets the crown of the game.
Yes, he does.
For putting up with Brad Marchand. And hey, remember, the next time,
For sticking to his guns.
That you-
For sticking to his guns. What's he supposed to do? Cower? He doesn't work for the Bruins.
the next time,
What else should Kyle Bukauskas do? Anyone else got some advice?
Did you watch it?
the next time you watch the
watched
watered down
parts of
Stanley
it.
Cup playoffs, make sure. Well, not the Stanley Cup playoffs. The next time you watch the games,
I watched it. I
The
tuned
big
in and out
games.
to see if the Bruins were losing, and they weren't, so I shut it off. I'm
Make
sick
sure-
of them. I'm done. I'm done.
yeah,
I'm
maybe
done.
consider a crown royal the next time you're watching hockey. Next time you watch puck drop, I would say that's the proper way to say it.
I have
so
a better.
so let's get
I have
into
a
this.
better answer if you want.
Okay. Well, I didn't. Well, I want you to go
Okay.
off on your rant, but I also I'm
okay,
afraid of
let
what
me-
you
let me
might
do the
say
rant,
under
and then
crown
I'll-
royal branding.
Understand if the Bruins are just playing hockey and getting away with stuff, how are you blaming them? Wouldn't you blame the referees or the game itself or anything? But they
Yes.
won the game.
Yeah.
How can
Oh.
you diminish them winning a series? They won best 4-7.
Yeah, just because like I'm sick of the Boston Bruins, it's not their fault. If they were called, it's not the Boston Bruins' fault that they are not called like any other team. They're not. They're not. Let's stop. Let's stop the charade. Let's stop. We could do a full, long highlight video of just egregiously terrible things they've done that went completely uncalled. And the McAvoy thing, 2 minutes. And Bruins fans were jumping in my mentions, and this is part of the reason I deleted it, because listen, when you talk, you need to do so with mutual respect. Like, don't lie to me without lying to me. Hey, dude, what's the problem? He's going to get suspended anyway. First of all, you don't know that. Second of all, why do you think a Columbus Blue Jackets fan might not give a flying fuck that Charlie McAvoy is going to get suspended for that hit he had last night? Why do you think they might not care?
Because they
because there was an elimination game for them. And you knew that. But you're a goof, and you wanted to make your little point and defend your shitheel team. I'm so sick of them. I'm so sick of them. I'm done. Like, hopefully the Hurricanes win so I can watch the final. I'm sick of them. I can't watch it.
Is it?
Hey, I feel like Jesse Pinkman. He can't keep getting away with this.
Is it fair?
Really good reference.
And I wonder how the Boston Bruins are going to wriggle their way out of this one. The Bruins wriggle their way out of it easily. Well, here's the cup.
But
Bettman, before he hands the cup to Chara, should just hoist it.
Just hand it to Jeremy
Fucking
Jacobs.
awful. Awful.
Can I just throw this out there? I think that
Throw the cup out.
I think the Boston Bruins have exploited a weakness in the NHL.
Sure.
I think that the Boston Bruins, they're the
I think
line.
you're right.
I think that they're doing what other teams haven't done, which is they are exploiting the rules to their absolute grayest area.
Yep.
They have studied it. They know how to get away with it.
That's not fucking true. Charlie McAvoy beamed a guy in the head. The ref called he threw him out of the game, and then he unthrew him out of the game.
Well,
This isn't the Bruins' brilliance.
Well,
it's the NHL sucks.
Chara had a good veteran talk with him, don't you know?
Oh, I'm out of love with the National Hockey League.
If it was any other
until
team.
they start playing hockey in the NHL, I'm done with it. They're not.
If it was any
not.
other team, Steve, doing this, let's say it was the Columbus Blue Jackets.
If it was any other team, it would have less of an impact because they wouldn't have a rap sheet like these guys. They're like a serial killer with this kind of rap sheet. Repeat offender. You know, okay, you stole a candy bar from a grocery store. They don't throw you in friggin' on death row for that. But you know what? If you murder like 30, 40 people, they tend to look at it a little bit differently. Like, let's stop talking about the Bruins let's slap the wrists. Oh, awful. And like a decade of this shit. I'm done. Lose, please, to the Hurricanes. My God. I'm sick of them. Ask me who my least favorite team is. The Bruins! I found an answer. It's no longer this childhood thing. I'm sick of that alleged hockey team.
How much does the Bruins beating the Leafs in back-to-back years impact this?
I think
Big time.
I think it may have an impact.
Big time. How much does the Bruin beating the Leafs impact John Tavares' brain? Oh, sorry, that's Zdeno Chara's fist. That wasn't the whole Boston Bruins. My bad. That also went uncalled. Everything goes uncalled. Oh, Steve, you're just salty. Fucking ain't right, I'm salty. Because your team never gets called for shit. Steve, I don't see what... You're so mad and I'm so happy. Of course! Your team gets everything handed to them. Shoveled into their gullet. Holy sh...
Do we
What?
have to give Bruce Cassidy more credit for
No, we absolutely
pushing his
don't.
team to play in that
Nope.
gray area?
I wouldn't give Bruce
Nope.
Cassidy any credit.
I don't give the Bruins credit for shit.
Because I don't think Bruce... I actually think that...
As far as I'm concerned, they're not in the third round. The third round does not exist as far as I'm concerned. I don't know how we're going to do this show going forward because I'm not going to watch. I'm not going to watch.
Well, you're going to watch.
No.
You're going to watch.
I'll watch the West.
So what were you going to say
I'll
about
watch the
Bruce
Western
Cassidy?
Conference final.
I'm going to
They
say
have hockey teams.
Bruce Cassidy doesn't deserve any credit for this. 100%. The credit rests solely with the players. And I think when we saw the Charlie McAvoy hit last night, and listen, Charlie McAvoy,
Lovely player.
Charlie McAvoy,
He's never done it before. It's so weird.
has created quite the resume for himself.
Yeah.
And you know, I don't think refs fully recognize him as this yet, but I think by next season they will. Mm-hmm. Charlie McAvoy is undoubtedly one of the more dirty players in the NHL. He's a guy, but here's the thing: he gets away with it. And whether or not, I don't know how he does it. I don't know how he continues to get away with it without getting filled in because he's not a huge guy. But it keeps happening. Now, last night's hit to me was indicative of a team that is not under control by their coach. I think the tail's wagging the dog here. With Bruce Cassidy's comments talking about Brad Marchand and peeling it back remember we were talking last week about the Scott Harrington punch in the back of the head. He said it's not easy. Hold on. That's a different quote. He said it's not easy. You can't just walk in and tell Brad to pull it back. He won't do that. Mm-hmm. And that's where I think the influence of guys like him on younger players like Charlie McAvoy means that this will continue in this franchise. Now, if you ask a Bruins fan, they love that. And they're winning. And it's working. I don't know how else you can, that's the frustration that Steve has. It's working for them. Yeah. That's the rules. They're playing by the rules.
So is he not doing a good job by letting them go be wild animals?
Well, you can debate that part. To me, it's indicative of the fact that Bruce Cassidy really only controls the lines on this team. Yeah. In terms of behavior on this team, in terms of commitment to whatever it is they're doing, Bruce Cassidy has almost zero, can take zero credit in this. Yeah, this is not a guy who controls his players, or could. He can't.
He's complicit. That's the word.
I don't even think he's complicit, Steve. I think he's irrelevant. I think he puts the players on the ice. The players do what the players do, and he goes, "Guys, you really shouldn't."
But it's working.
But it's working exactly.
Like last night was
it's like having a terrible class of kids that get A's.
Let me try to bring the Bruin. Yes, let me try to bring Bruins fans in on this. Last night, McAvoy lays that hit, and Bruins Twitter explodes with "oh shit," because they were up, I think, 1-0. He lays that hit, and they go, "Oh no!"
Yeah, 1-0.
It's going to be a 5-minute major, and he's gone. Because the call on the ice was he's gone, and they took it back.
So I've never seen that before. I've never seen them.
Oh, watch enough Bruins games. I'm sure you have.
Kick a guy out of the game and then take it back. I didn't know that was a rule that you could. I didn't know you could reverse a call like that once it's called.
Well, you can always huddle, I think, just with any penalty, and you can make the decision. Even after it's called on the ice, I think the referees.
So and then Friedman was saying, Friedman was saying that he was theorizing. I wonder if the blown call on Cody Eakin in Game 7 Vegas Sharks caused them to do that. So wait,
they
the
don't want to decide the game.
The refs being shitty and wrong once led to them being wrong, or shitty and wrong again. And that's where we are. It's the evolution, it's the snowballing of being shitty and wrong. So the trend right now, for those of you into charts and shit, is that it's only going to get shittier and wronger. I'm out. I'll watch the Western Conference. Hopefully the Canes win. I'm out. On that note, go Avalanche. Because, as long as all things are equal,
really?
You know? Yeah.
You don't want to see Jumbo Joe lift the cup in Boston?
Yeah.
We just took a step closer. I think that's a positive.
I tell you what, hopefully the Sharks are leading in Game 7, and they take a 5-minute major, and hopefully they can kill it. All things are equal.
Now, having watched the series, would you say that I'm not confident?
Which series?
In this, the Boston-Columbus series. Mm-hmm. I'm not confident, given the way Columbus's power play was playing, that they would have done anything with the 5-minute major. However, I am, and you never can be, but I am with you on the fact that is a game you can't be in the game after that. And my question now is, and this results from when a company or organization or group of people has no fixed goal with a particular sensitive issue, such as headshots.
You're talking about the NHL.
Yeah.
Oh, they don't care.
There is bound to be a bunch of screw-ups because nobody knows which way they're going. Everybody's kind of rowing the boat in a different direction.
It's easily the worst league
could not
on the continent.
You could not have caught...
It is. Name a worse league than the National Hockey League. You cannot do it. Go ahead.
Even putting the CFL above the...
Yes.
No, the CFL's fine.
When was their last
run fine.
What about the XFL? They just had to deal with FS1 and
so
ESPN.
Did they finally? Are they bringing it back for real?
They have a TV
the XFL has a deal with ESPN. The NHL does not.
Maybe that's why Tom
fucking
Dundon pulled out
dunked the NHL's head in a toilet.
Maybe
Tom Dundon's going to invest in the XFL rather than
Vince McMahon,
what was it? The AFL or whatever they called it. What were they going to call it?
The American Alliance Alliance Football League.
Yeah, something weird.
Yeah. They lasted, I think it was 3 games in their first season. And then, Anyways.
Yeah, I think you got to look at this situation and go, the Charlie McAvoy hit is indicative of a bigger issue with this league, which is they don't know what they're going to do with headshots. And I can tell you, stuff like that ain't going to play well in court when that day comes. It's just not. And they're going to have to really, really figure this out soon.
Rich dudes with lawyers do rich dudes with lawyer things. They'll get away with it. They'll be fine. Adam, what's the superhero movie ending you have in your head?
Occasionally,
Get out of here. The bad guys win is what I've learned.
Occasionally good things happen.
Ugh. When? Name one.
Well, Hitler's no longer in power.
Okay, that's what everyone remembers the big ones. Oh. Like Jesus.
Okay, but
I'm not alone though.
no, I know you're not, and I'm not
alone in your hate of the Bruins? Yeah.
No, I maybe took it out a little bit unfairly on one team, but everyone, you got to admit, these playoffs have been particularly unwatchable. They've been really, really bad. We don't know what the rules are. We don't.
But it's this,
and the Bruins got jobbed.
Steve.
By the-
This is every year.
It
Playoff
feels so
hockey
much
is
worse this
different
year.
than regular season hockey.
I know that.
And then every time we get to the playoffs, everyone's like, "Oh, the rules are gone." I'm shocked. Even though this is how it is every single year, you can get away with murder in the playoffs.
You've said that legal murder.
Yeah,
Legal murder. Oh, I guess you're right. I guess it's true. I guess that's true.
Well, listen, I don't know.
Okay, well, I'll be sure to watch October to April and then shut the shit off. Because I signed up to watch hockey. That's what I signed up for. Oh, playoff. Oh, okay, well, I didn't sign up for that. Turn it off. Fucking, I'll finally start Game of Thrones, guys. You peer pressured me into it. I'll do it.
Actually, I think you'll like
What
it.
am I supposed to watch?
It's a lot more
should watch Game of
satisfying than
Thrones.
2 Leafs Game 7s, that's for sure.
Oh, fuck.
Even though your favorite people are always dying, it's still a lot less heartbreaking than the Leafs losing.
This sound good? This sound like I'm having fun?
Yeah,
fucking
you're
bullshit.
particularly
It's-
mad. I guess I've just accepted the new reality, which is it's Jeremy Jacobs' world, and we're just living in it. And if I'm
I've accepted it too by moving on. I wonder what I'll make videos about now.
if I'm MLSE,
Like, I don't know. I'll have to look into it.
MLSE carries a pretty big stick.
I don't know. I never played the shit growing up anyway. Like, I don't know. I'll find something else.
It makes me
Played
wonder.
Pokemon growing up.
It makes
I have
me
better expertise on Pokemon.
It makes me wonder what the owners' meetings are going to be like. Because
Hey, you're old and rich. So am I. And fucking cheers and nothing gets accomplished. Like always. What do you think they talk about at those things?
golf.
Gives a shit. Oh. I'm done. You're gonna really have to try hard to get me out of this rut.
Okay.
I think because I
have a question, though.
Do not love the National Hockey League.
Can we play Max Kellerman farting?
Out of love. you can play Max Kellerman
Man.
farting on the NHL.
What?
Max Kellerman would never fart in the NHL. They don't talk about it because the shit's irrelevant. Shit is irrelevant in that country. Why? It's a cultural thing here. Hockey is big here because it's always been big here. And it's not big in the States because it sucks. The lie. Can someone, do you have one of those beep, 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 like you're looking for metal on the beach? Can you find it? I haven't found it. It's a trash product and no one watches it because it's trash. There you go.
Steve, rest assured, they'll deal with it internally. Well, and that's that tweet that John Shannon sent out the last time Boston did something shitty is not John's fault. Well, it is, but I don't think John meant anything by other than what he heard from his source, which was they're dealing with it internally.
I think he was being sarcastic.
Which they can't. You think he was being sarcastic? John's funny. I think
He is funny. He's got that dry humor.
Yeah.
Where rest assured.
Maybe he was. I didn't even consider that. My question to get you out of the Bruins thing, because I know you're frustrated about that. What do you do now if you're the Columbus Blue Jackets? You've got 2 draft picks. You've got Duchesne, you've got Dangle, you've got Panarin, and you've got Bobrovsky, and they're all free agents. What do you do now? Jarmo Kekalainen deserves to be applauded for at least going for it. And having a team for a while there that looked like, hey, this might be really... There might be something. What do you do?
Oh, you probably do what the Leafs have done and yell and scream and be stressed without enjoying anything for a couple months. And then things happen, and then you yell and scream about the things that happen rather than the theory. And then you watch from September to April, and then they throw out the rules. That's probably what you do.
So you're just not even going to answer the topic? You're gonna be depressed all episode?
Oh, I'm sick of it.
Okay, but
I don't know. What
I'm trying to move you on here.
is there like another season of The Bachelor we can talk about?
I think actually there might be on right now, and I think we've missed it.
Boom. Let's go there.
Do you want to do Bachelor bios?
Right now?
I don't know.
I don't think
Not
so.
right
No.
now. I'm not in the mood. What are they doing?
Oh, apparently there is Bachelorette bios.
Yeah.
Jesse,
there
do you
are.
mind looking those up? Is this a new season?
No, I was
Yeah,
kidding.
do you
guys.
want them?
No, I
have
want to
them.
talk. No, come on, move on.
just not in the mood.
You got to move on.
Saying
You got to
no.
move on. You got to move on. What do you do if you're Columbus?
With Columbus, it's so difficult because there's so much that's just choice. Like with Mitch Marner, we know it's going to be this annoying back and forth, but at the end of the day, he's an RFA, and if he does get offer sheeted, they can match it, and if they don't match it, at least they get something for him. With Columbus, they have Duchesne's a UFA, right?
He is.
So he's a UFA. Dzingle's a UFA, granted a relatively useless one in the playoffs. There's Artemi Panarin, who's a UFA, and Sergei Bobrovsky, who's a UFA. So really it comes down to who actually wants to stay. They have the cap room.
Should also mention that Keith Kincaid, who they traded for, is also a UFA.
Yeah, I mean, little insurance. I don't think they're going to miss Keith Kincaid.
Yeah, you're right. But I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, so it comes down to choice. But Kekalainen has proved that he's not afraid to be bold. So if he wants to go, I don't know, they have options, right? Like if he wants to go full rebuild, he can and just use those picks. Wait a sec, you said he has picks.
He is 3-7.
Oh, in my head, I thought you were saying 2 first.
Nope.
Ooh, so
Those are gone now.
Okay, so they don't really have options is the problem. So they'll have an active free agency is what they'll have.
They'll have a lot of cap space.
They'll have a lot of cap space, and you might need to get used to the idea that they're not going to bring back the names you know, but they'll maybe bring in some other guys.
They have
And they also have, like, cap room that they could free up.
Well, okay, so
Like
you've got,
looking at their roster.
if you look at the Cam Atkinson contract, he's 29. He's got a lot of years left at 5.875.
That's a good deal, though.
Dubinsky's got 2 more years at 5.85.
That's a terrible deal.
Foligno's got 5.5 for 2 more years.
Decent deal.
Wenberg 4.9, but he's 24 years old.
And
God.
they're going to try to offload him because he didn't play a whole ton.
Boone Jenner 3.75.
Great player in these playoffs.
Riley Nash has got 2 more years at 2.75.
The Bruins hate him. I like him.
Oliver Bjorkstrand and Josh Anderson is looks like he's got 1 more year, which is
And he's on that sweet deal, right?
he is. But boy, he's got the same agent, I believe, as Mitch Marner,
I believe so. And he held out, and we were like, who the hell is Josh Anderson?
and he's proved himself this year.
But what was funny is, like, leading into that contract holdout, I was like, who the hell is this guy? He
Yeah.
had, like, a career high of, like, what?
18
30?
goals. 18 goals was his career high.
on.
Yeah, like that's like he had like worse than Connor Brown numbers.
And now he's, like, a wicked power forward. Like, he's one of a dying breed. He was a penalty killer for them.
Useful player.
Headshot recipient. He was a lot of things for the Blue
He
Jackets.
was a headset.
Yeah.
Then you've got on defense, you've still got Seth Jones, who's been an absolute all-star. You got David Savard
Great
for this year and next. You've got Marcus Nudivara,
Nutavara.
and you've got him at 2.7 for 3 more years, and then you've got like Andrew Peak, Zach Werenski needs to be re-signed, so a lot of money will go there.
There's option. Well, and also...
And Adam McQuaid will probably go.
I don't think John Tortorella is going to be back either.
You don't, eh?
No, because I believe his contract is up, and he's just going to fly the roost. He'll...
You think so? Interesting.
I think they're just done there. It'd be interesting because, like, I feel like the team you're going to bring back is so different that you might as well bring them back because it'll almost be like getting a new coach. You know, you're going to have a new starting goaltender. You're probably going to have a couple new pieces on defense. Your offense is going to look completely different.
So let's say Zach Werenski is $6 to $8 million because I don't know.
Oh, is that an RFA?
Yes, I don't know what he's worth. I don't know.
That's a tough one.
Still leaves you with $20 million and some pretty good players already on the roster. And as you said, guys like maybe a Brandon Dubinsky that you'd probably want to move. Um,
And Wenberg. They want to move
Wenberg.
Wenberg.
is Wenberg just not a good player that was signed too long?
It's a bit confusing. It reminds me a little bit. I know they're completely different players, but it reminds me a little bit of the Andre Burakovsky situation in Washington, where I'm like, well, the player's young enough. Why don't you just try to work it out? Mm-hmm. Like, is it that?
Because he was good. Like, I remember the playoff series against the Leafs, you really saw him. That was sort of his coming out party.
Maybe the thought is because he's so young, he still has value, so let's move off this guy and maybe get someone else.
Interesting.
They got options, but like if it sounds like a wishy-washy answer, it's because it is, because so much of it depends on where do the players want to go, and what other players in unrestricted free agency, because Panarin and Bob are gone. What other players in unrestricted free agency want to stay? I don't know.
And let me say this, and I don't know if we've been
Or
clear about
want to
this.
join.
I heard from a Columbus fan, and rightfully so, who was a little ticked that maybe we had put across the idea that Columbus didn't want to pay for either of those players or didn't have the money or something. And I don't think...
No, it's
I
not
just want to
that.
clear that up. It isn't that.
No.
They may come back. It's just looking like they want to go to big markets. And people have suggested, like, why do you think Toronto, if, like, remember our nuclear scenario where Mitch Marner signs an offer sheet somewhere else and then Toronto chases Panarin? I don't know. First off, I don't know how that could be possible because Mitch Marner can't sign an offer sheet before July 1st.
I think it was,
Unless it's that goofy week where you can negotiate and you know you're going to lose him.
I think it was Corsi HL tweeted some sort of theory where the Leafs let Marner get offer sheeted and they let him go. They take the 4 firsts and they turn around and they offer sheet Matthew Tkachuk from Calgary.
Oh, whoa.
No, the first have to be. They don't have their first this year. No, but I guess it would be the future first because you can't offer sheet
It'd be
with
next
other
year's.
people's first.
It'd be next year's.
Maybe after
So
the draft.
The Leafs
Yes,
have theirs.
so you could.
Yeah,
You could.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
I don't.
So that makes sense.
Listen, if you're a fan of chaos,
Could be fun.
I think you're a fan of the Leafs getting offer sheeted because, definitely open that door. Yeah, definitely piss off the richest team in the league, and it probably won't even bite you. Nothing will happen, I bet.
Adam.
No, but what I was going to say was people suggested, like, well, if Panarin wants big markets, why would he go to Toronto? And it's like, well, I don't think people realize
He's not
this.
coming to Toronto.
Okay.
Why not?
He wants max money. It
He's
seems
not
pretty
gonna get
clear.
max money.
He wants his most.
He's gonna get Mitch Marner money.
He wants the most bang for his buck, I should say, which would be going to Florida and the whole tax situation.
Or coming to Canada and making American dollars. It's the
Canada.
exact same.
He doesn't care about any of
Well,
that
okay.
shit.
Anyway, the thing is that if we're talking
he's not
big
gonna live
markets,
here.
I think people forget that Toronto is actually bigger than Chicago. And I
about the
understand,
same size, yeah.
No. They are actually bigger than Chicago.
Oh, it is?
Toronto is the 4th biggest in North America. It's Mexico City, New York, LA, Toronto, Chicago.
Yeah.
So I understand why, Canada, we're kind of small and cute and whatever, but Toronto's quite big. So if you're looking for a big market, this city's actually pretty huge.
I don't think it's a big market thing. I think he wants to live in the sun and
blame
make
him.
a shitload of money.
Listen, man, that's where
Yeah.
I'm headed when I'm retired.
I don't blame him.
4 firsts and a Panarin sounds like more than a Mitch Marner.
I mean, yeah, but I just don't think he's coming. That would be dope.
Mm-hmm.
That would be dope. And I don't know, like this is the Leaf story, right? Well, how much time do you want to dedicate to Ilya Mikheyev?
Well,
whoever.
I don't know anything. And then they signed a defenseman today.
Oh, they did?
His name is, and this
Yeah.
is what happened, Joki Nelivainen?
Never heard of him.
Nevalainen? And anyway, apparently he's a hardworking left shot, of course, defenseman from the Finnish league, and they say he's about the second best defenseman available, 24 years old, mid-sized guy, always makes the right decision kind of guy. Probably Marley's next year. Like nobody. The weird thing about these European free agents is nobody seems to be able to tell you anything about them. Even the people that are reporting on, they're like, well, here they are, and here's how they signed the contract, and we don't know. And it makes you wonder, like, who does know, and how do they know?
And the KHL YouTube channel is decent. So, like, there's footage
But
of all
even
these
so,
guys
like,
available.
how do you make that comparable, right? Like, it's tough. Like, when you, like, Nikita Zaitsev, contract aside, is an NHL player. But if he goes to the KHL, is he the best defenseman in the KHL?
It's if you haven't watched the Big Ice,
It's different.
it's very different.
So
And
I wonder what
it's
kinds of things they
interesting.
look for.
I would think pop. You don't need to have the same kind of acceleration. In the KHL, you can be a slower, I guess, accelerator. but you have so much time to gain speed. People talk about how it's soft and there's no hitting. There's less hits along the boards.
But
The
there's
open ice hits are devastating because everyone's going 1,000 miles an hour. There's a lot more east-west hockey.
I like that.
Yeah, it's I don't know, it's a different watch. That's why, people were saying, well, Korshkov is better designed for North American ice.
Because he's bigger on a smaller surface?
He's bigger, he's got pop, and he can like sort of muscle there. He's got a quick shot. I have time for all those things. And it reminds me, I'm not comparing the two players, but it reminds me of what was said about Alex Ovechkin when he was coming up. If you go look at Ovechkin's stats, for an 18-year-old, they're incredible over in Russia, but I want to say his rookie year he had 18 goals. Or sorry, his draft year. He had 18 goals in Russia. And you go, well, that's dick all. But if you look at Ovechkin, the player we know now, he's a battering ram. He's perfect for North American ice. He's 230 pounds. You can't knock him off the puck.
You ever seen his Instagram? He is that is a thick man.
It's a thick human being. He can dangle around you, and if you get in his way, he can go through you. It's great for North America, and it works in the KHL too, but it just works even better over here. I guess you could say. There's a lot of guys over there. They're silky smooth. The way they handle the puck, but it doesn't quite compute. The defenders have so much more time as well, too.
That is true.
That's one thing I noticed with Ozhiganov is he could break it out. But when he had the puck in his own zone, holy shit, oh my God, because guys were on him right away. So,
by the way, he officially has left.
Oh no, don't go. What was that?
He got 53 games. That's the crazy part.
What? So Igor Ozhiganov, okay, the Leafs have gotten into a very weird habit where they sign a European or Russian free agent like a year ahead of time. They sign them unofficially. They sort of did that with Zaitsev, and they did it with Mikheyev too, or however you say his name. And I feel like I don't know, did they feel like they had to sign Ozhiganov? Because the guy didn't play last season in Russia. He played like half the games, healthy scratched. Like what is the urgency to sign that player? There's no better players who have actually played hockey that are willing to come to your team? I find that hard to believe. You couldn't find some random from the Spengler or anywhere who Igor Ozhiganov didn't play hockey last year. Why did you sign this player and think he'd be good?
Well, I don't mind that they signed him and thought he would be good. Like with Borgman and Rosen, it took them a while to develop.
Also, they played hockey when they were signed.
Sure. What was weird to me was that they gave him 53 games to figure it out.
Well, a bunch of those were because they had to.
They wouldn't. Justin Hall was there. They didn't have to.
You know what? Adam brings up a great point.
I was the guy saying, man, if Babs doesn't believe Justin Hall can't hang, then that would be why he wouldn't play him. We had a whole argument about it. However, it was fairly clear that Justin Hall made some pretty smart decisions when he did play, although his timing was for sure off. That might come with missing 60 games. And I looked at Ozhiganov and went, why did he get such an inordinate amount of time to figure his shit out when guys who have earned it didn't? And that brings me to, and we weren't going to get into Leafs this early, but let's just do it. Kyle Dubas confirming to both Sportsnet and TSN yesterday through Bob McKenzie and through John Shannon that he is keeping Mike Babcock as the coach. They believe in Mike. Mike believes in them. It was a really strong statement. And so we could stop reading into the Ken Holland rumors, which I found funny because I don't think Ken Holland and Mike Babcock really got along ever. I think they just had success together. And that was the real reason Mike left Detroit, was because he and Ken Holland weren't getting along anymore.
It was just one of those things where it fits. I don't know. I think I might have even suggested it, but I don't know. It fits. I suggest all kinds of goofy shit.
And I guess if Ken Holland wants to win, then Ken Holland did win, but we'll talk about that.
Do the Oilers have a coach?
No, let's hold off on that.
Sorry. Babcock.
The word that Kyle Dubas used was that they'd had productive meetings with Mike and productive meetings with his staff. Mm-hmm. That, to me, has to mean that Mike Babcock knows that he's got to change something.
Yep.
Now, he may not correct as far as hockey Twitter would, because if he listened to hockey Twitter, it would either be play only face punchers or play only guys who are analytics darlings. Like, there's got to be somewhere in the middle, and I get that.
Insert any random from the Marlies onto the second line, and
Bingo.
they'll score 30 goals. Like it just doesn't work.
It doesn't work like that. No, and so Mike got there for a reason. He's been successful and that sort of thing. But Mike Babcock 100% got outcoached against Bruce Cassidy, and there is no. And he might have only been outcoached by one game, but that one game mattered.
Yeah, it was a terrible game.
So you have to think
really
that
bad.
Kyle Dubas looked at that and said, okay, so here are the results. Mm-hmm. And he said it publicly. There are no tangible gains this year. This team is not tangibly better than it was last year.
Nope.
And if you're looking frankly at the Leafs for next year, how can you say that they would be tangibly better, barring some miracle trade? You know, if things go the way we think they will, which is they stay sort of status quo, like Chris Johnson came on and said, you know what, there could be some fireworks this offseason. Yeah, well, it's the NHL and nobody's creative with the cap. And I doubt the brain power of some of these guys, to be frank. I don't know. Oh, not the Leafs. I think the Leafs actually have a genuinely smart, intelligent staff. I think there are a lot of guys. You got to have two to tango. So if you want to make a trade, you also have to have a team that's creative with the cap, like the Leafs are.
I think with the Leafs, you're betting on a lot of early 20-year-olds getting better. Which
Yeah,
they should. And
agreed.
Another year of John Tavares.
But yes, and maybe Matthews doesn't get injured for 20 games,
Right.
and a few other things. But what I would say in the long and the short of it is here. Mike Babcock, we will know in the first 20 games of next season whether or not he actually changed. And one thing that's going to be interesting is when Kyle Dubas has his end of season press conference next year, we're going to know whether or not those meetings were actually productive or whether or not he had to keep them. Kyle Dubas has to say, we believe in Mike, he's our guy. Mm-hmm. He has to say it for a couple reasons. First off, Mike's not. He just reached the halfway point of his contract, right?
Yeah.
If you are the Toronto Maple Leafs, even though that contract is front loaded, you cannot write off almost $30 million.
Yeah. Someone would pick him up.
Somebody would pick him up, but the Leafs would still be on the hook for part of it, like the Hawks are with Quenneville.
Maybe
for the next couple years, the Hawks are still paying Joel Quenneville like $2 million.
Yeah.
The Leafs, while they have, unlimited money, are owned by two telecommunications giants who are not interested in that.
Well,
let me just be straight with it.
Of course.
And so I have to. So he had to say that. Like, I would expect Kyle Dubas to say that because the players need to hear it and the fans need to hear it. The organization is behind Mike Babcock, and he didn't say it in the press conference. What are the chances? And this is the question I have. How much do you believe that Mike Babcock would change now after what he's seen? Do you believe he changes now, or do you believe they had to keep him? He's still the best option they have, and they just have to kind of suck it up and go with it.
I don't have a read of the human being. I really don't.
I don't think I don't think Mike Babcock's a bad option. I don't think he's but he may not be, as we said before. He may be the guy that gets you 80%.
Well, the special teams were terrible compared to what they should have been.
True.
And Babcock,
Very true.
at various times during the season, was visibly frustrated with that and had, on-camera arguments with his assistants about what they should and shouldn't be doing. They didn't have a center on their penalty kill. What other team in the league has that?
Well, and he takes the blame for that, but but he should.
Just like Dubas took the blame for all sorts of other things he shouldn't have taken the blame for.
Mike's got to take the blame for that. Mike calls out the lines. If he said to DJ Smith, I am not doing this anymore, what is DJ Smith going to do?
I guess we just don't know what... I don't know what he does and doesn't believe. And which was the problem with Game 7, is he did firmly put his stamp on what he believed on at least a couple things. And one of the... Producer Drew sent me a text today. Nathan McKinnon, through 2 periods last night in an elimination game against the Sharks, played almost as much as Matthews did in the entirety of Game 7. Just gag me with a spoon.
Mm-hmm.
And the Matthews angle gets beaten to death. Tavares didn't play that much more.
Mm-hmm.
And Hyman, on a torn ACL, stayed on the penalty kill, never got put down the lineup. What are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing?
So that's
Gardner was given a reduced role because the guy was hurt, couldn't play. Hyman's out there on one ACL. You have him shutting down one of the best lines in the world? No wonder.
Well, that would be my question. So if Mike's the guy, and they were good 5-on-5, there's no question. The Leafs are very, very good 5-on-5. If they can figure out the special, I mean, just like Columbus,
I don't know if he's a genius, an idiot, or both.
You got to give credit to Boston because they shut down the Leafs power play and then they shut down Columbus's power play. You have to give them credit. They're fantastic at it. They're really, really good. You also have to give credit to DJ Smith because the Leafs penalty kill was not. That's where his credit's due.
Which is so weird.
And I don't know if Dubas and Babcock are maybe on the same page and going, you know what, we need a change up in special teams in one particular area or not. But I would like to know. I'd like to know right now, but we won't know till mid-November where Mike Babcock's at. If there's actual change here, or if it's different personnel that's needed.
Are you taking a bet on if they decided on?
Yeah,
the
like is Mike
coaches?
Babcock's philosophy going to change?
No, the assistant coaches.
Oh, the coaches. I think you got it.
Because
If
in
you
that
do
meeting,
nothing
that's where he would ask. Do you think they're coming back?
If you do nothing about Jim Hiller and DJ Smith, and DJ Smith more than Jim Hiller, and apparently DJ Smith's already like applying for the Ottawa job, like he's out, it's gone, it's over. Like they're talking about it like it's done,
Have fun.
which I think is a good thing for the Leafs and for DJ Smith. You wish him the best, but I don't think he was. He didn't like Chris Johnson said. He didn't blow anybody away.
Jeff O'Neill had an interesting tweet last night. So Alain Vigneault got hired in Philadelphia
With Mike Yeo and Michel Therrien?
and Michel Therrien.
What are they doing?
And what Jeff O'Neill said was, "Oh, cool, Michel Therrien's your buffer." So sometimes the coach is always the bad guy. The assistant coach has got to come in and sort of be the good guy. I think people really liked. I think the Leafs really liked DJ Smith as at least a guy, as a buffer. So they are losing that, but tactically the penalty kill was garbage and has to be changed. So I don't know. I'm sure there's other good cops out there.
Michel Therrien's one of the worst persons though in the league.
Yeah, so
That was reported on widely when he was in Montreal. How is he the buffer?
I don't know.
That doesn't make any sense.
No, this is what I'm saying. So DJ Smith, I think at least in that, when it comes to the responsibilities of an assistant coach, I guess he at least fulfilled that part.
Right. Agreed.
Whereas Therrien, maybe not.
So they need to find somebody like that. And I don't know. Jim Hiller, he couldn't get the power play started like really going after about mid-November. And with that kind of talent, I don't know. I just don't know.
With zero change to it.
Yeah. Like he didn't make any changes. He just kept throwing them out there. I don't know. I just don't know how you can't with that kind of talent. Those results are unacceptable. So if I'm Kyle Dubas and I'm Mike Babcock, if I'm trying to figure out where they found common ground, that's where I'm trying to figure it out. Because if I was Kyle Dubas, I would have been climbing walls about Matthews' ice time and other things that Leafs Nation has complained about.
Do you make a phone call mid-game if you're Kyle Dubas?
Yeah, man.
Play our fucking
Would
star.
you not have walked down there?
I just gave him $11.5 million.
Yeah, play him. So it'll be interesting to see who they bring on. But what do you guys think about Mike Babcock's actual philosophy changing or modifying? Do you think it's possible? Do you think it happens?
I think we all have this cartoon villain perception of him.
I don't. I don't at all.
Well, at least here's the thing. Kyle Dubas did us all a favor because some people wanted Babcock fired and they were grumpy yesterday, but whatever, they've forgotten about it. Now the question's gone. What a miserable fan base the entire freaking season. And we just have all these questions, and now there's one less question. And now we can be miserable about something else, and that's Mitch Marner. There's always going to be unsigned players on your hockey team. There's always going to be pending free agents. Can we all enjoy this a little bit?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. It's been all year. It was a calendar year of this shit. In terms of Babcock changing his philosophy, I don't know. I think we need to maybe get off the idea that all old hockey minds are terrible. And unadaptable.
That's because that's just not true.
Yeah,
that's not fair. That's ageist. It's not true.
Well, which was part of my defense of Ken Holland.
However,
and we can move
we
on
still
to that
need to
if you
see.
want.
It's possible, but is it probable?
I don't know.
I'm
surely
asking
it is. Well, wait.
Do you
who,
think
with
Mike
Babs
will
or Holland?
change?
With Babs or Holland?
Babs.
I think Babcock doesn't like losing, and he keeps losing. He hasn't been to the second round since
2012.
2012, yeah.
It's been a long time.
It's been a very long time. And people hold that over his head, and I think it's a little bit unfair because
Detroit was on its way down.
Detroit had success on their way down. Comes to the Leafs on their way up. If you can maybe yell at him for like the first one and the most recent one. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you look at all those teams that lost in the first round, what did you expect them to do? You know, the Capitals series was miles beyond what I expected it to be. Everyone said Caps in 3. And then the first Bruins Game 7 loss, they were outmatched. And they got smacked around by a better team, it's what makes this year's sting so bad. The Leafs did, in my opinion, look like the better team. I have confidence he'll learn. The thing that scares the crap out of me, again, the sport completely changes, like any playoff sport, in April, and we're not going to know if Babcock's changed until this time next year. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think it doesn't come down to just playing Matthews more.
No,
Well,
exactly.
That's the one key point, right?
Yeah,
but yeah, you're right.
The whole thing is, hey, give the guys more ice time, but that's not solving the Leafs. You know? There's a whole bunch of issues here.
There are, and I mean, there's personnel issues. Maybe, let's talk about how the guys trusted to break the puck out on the right side of defense, which is kind of important. Mm-hmm. It either starts from the left guy or the right guy. Babcock's options were Ron Hainsey, Nikita Zaitsev, and Igor Ozhiganov.
Guys whose worst trait is handling the puck.
Yeah.
But that's who he decided to play as well.
Who should he have played?
I don't know, man. Igor Ozhiganov is not... I mean, listen, I wanted Igor Ozhiganov to be good. When people were like, he sucks, I was like, well, wait, let's see. And because I'm a wait-and-see person, I'd like to see the results before we make any... things. But after about game 20, I think you could have probably said, yeah, this guy doesn't have it. And
Or given Justin Hall a shot ever once.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think they're going to have more options this year, for sure. I think that the way that Timothy Liljegren has played in the playoffs for the Marlies has opened up a lot of eyes. I think a lot of people were down on him. I don't know why. There are a lot of people who think that there are people in reporting in Maple Leafs world that are too tough on the prospects, and then there are people that are not tough enough. But the consensus is Timothy Liljegren at some point next year is a Toronto Maple Leaf, and they're saying, well, Rasmus Sandin, as great as he is, or Sandin, as great as he is, maybe you see him play 37 to 45 games, kind of like Travis Dermott did.
Nothing wrong with that. He's still a teenager.
Yeah,
he just turned 19.
Let him play another season. However, I think if you're Mike Babcock, you're probably looking at Timothy Liljegren like, I kind of hope you're ready to go here.
Well, because, you put him in, and the worry is that he's too young. What's the worry? That he's going to be bad? As opposed to what? Look what they got. You might as well go young.
Could you make the rational argument, even at this point, that Timothy Liljegren isn't a better player than Nikita Zaitsev? Rationally?
Some people would, but how about this? Should Ron Hainsey, if he comes back, play the right side?
No.
I'm so sick of it.
No.
And it's funny. I didn't really think. I always thought Babcock was sort of overplaying the whole right-handed versus left-handed thing. But I think for with the way the Leafs play, it actually is really important. There's so many times where the puck. The Leafs have possession in the offensive zone. It comes to the right D-man. They got to handle it on their backhand, and it kills the play dead. Or they spend the next 5-10 seconds chasing it before they can really get it going again. It's that little half second. Get Mike some right-handed options. So if Dubas failed the Leafs in any way, it was that. But also... getting a good right-handed D, a little bit easier said than done.
Right, and I think bringing in Jake Muzzin is a nice little stopgap for losing Jake Gardner.
Yeah. And I also think, left-handed or right-handed, that was going to be awesome before Jake Gardner got hurt.
Yeah.
It looked real good. And, play Gardner higher in the lineup. He didn't have it.
No, he didn't.
He didn't have
You
it.
could see it.
Do we also think there's a better a solution than a 39-year-old in Ron Hainsey?
I think there is.
My God, yeah.
I think you could get the same results out of like a Greg Patterin for $1 million.
Yeah.
And I think Greg Patterin's a guy they need to get. I think if you
On your third pair or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Greg Patterin is a need. Like
Something like that.
He's the cost-effective guy that you can trust. And I don't think that anybody would say Greg Patterin's going to come in and be a stud or something like that. But right now, I mean, again, rational argument. Is he a better player than Nikita Zaitsev? Or is Nikita Zaitsev a better player than him? So, that's a guy that you can easily slot in. He's an NHL guy. Babs loves guys with experience. Ty always goes to the vet. So at least we know we have a vet who is trustworthy enough. And I think if you've got a right side next year that includes a veteran on the third pair, a rookie on the second pair, maybe like a Liljegren, something like that.
Something
Or
like
maybe you start the veteran higher and you work Liljegren in, which I don't blame. And you still do have to find that stud on the other side. And I really believe, I believe what Chris Johnson said to be correct, even though I kind of mentioned it earlier that the NHL kind of sucks with big trades. I think that you're looking at a Kasperi Kapanen and an Andreas Johnsson, one or both.
Could be something like that.
Gone.
And it doesn't-
and in a trade for a guy that's a legitimate name.
It doesn't have to be like a stud, like a huge
I think they're
name.
going after one though.
I think they're going after
a
one,
stud.
but I don't know.
Doughty. I think he's too expensive. I think
I don't
he's
know if
priced
it's
himself
got to
out.
be that. No, I don't want an $11 million guy back there who's his age. But there's guys. Their stud is Morgan Riley.
Mm-hmm.
Their other stud is Jake Muzzin.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, just get them good players to play with.
Yes.
I don't think they had those.
Well, so Ryan Ellis's contract.
The way we were talking about Zaitsev in the playoffs is, hey, he's all right. We shouldn't be surprised by them being good. I don't want a guy I'm surprised by how good he is.
Yeah,
Get him out.
I agree. So
Get me certifiably good.
there's two guys that you need that you hope you can move on from, Zaitsev and Marleau. And I hate saying it that way, but and maybe if you're going to add a third, I think Connor Brown is a guy that's an easily moved piece. Although I do think they like him, and what he brings or whatever, I just think he's too expensive for what he
you're not
brings.
including just UFAs who aren't coming back.
Yeah,
like
that's right. Yeah.
Marinson and
Yeah, I mean, I think Marinchen's gone. I actually think Hainsey's gone. I'm not in the
really hope
the group of
he's
people
gone
that
too.
believe he's being re-signed. I just don't see it.
Gardner.
Otherwise, listen, if you were going to
Gardner's gone.
re-sign Hainsey, you could do that right now.
Yeah, which you
Probably.
probably shouldn't.
No, I don't think you should. But if you look at so if you trade, which side of the Leafs is weaker, the left or the right on the wing?
Oh, on the wing?
Mm-hmm.
I'd say the left.
So is that Andreas Johnsson territory?
That is Andreas Johnsson territory.
So you're looking at a Kasperi Kapanen player, which he's been rumored before, and he's also, I have to say, around the league, the more attractive of the two. And that's because he's got the one thing that you notice right away. And this is the thing is when a scout sees two games, they're going to see what's the one major skill that's above the rest of them. Andreas Johnsson might be the more complete player, but that's harder to see in a game. Kasperi Kapanen's speed will blow your mind.
Connor McDavid takes the puck, bursts up. Kapanen, you're literally all you got to do, blow by your guy, go to the net.
Be there.
Go to
but
the
if I
net.
look at
You'll get
Nashville,
you 30 goals.
Nashville, a team that needs speed and scoring, and needs a good right winger who can score, who's young.
And they got some guys.
Boy,
on the-
Ryan Ellis for Kasperi Kapanen sure makes a lot of sense.
or some
Ryan
sort of,
Ellis,
some sort of
yeah,
deal.
as two major pieces in a bigger trade.
Yes.
If you look at Florida, what about Aaron Ekblad?
Nashville should ask for Kadri too.
Well, they would have to give up a lot.
Well, they would
Toronto
argue
sort
that
of
Ryan
needs it.
Ellis is a
Then
lot.
what do you do with the center, right? You go get Alexander Wenberg for
Then
a
you
bag of
fill the
pucks.
hole.
Hmm?
Right.
Then you're filling the hole that's more expensive to fill.
But now we're having a more creative conversation other than the same guys we bring up over and over again. Like I think the summer's going to be wild, man. Enough with having the same obvious weakness all the time.
Well, what about Philadelphia?
What about him? I am always down for calling them.
Radko Gudas. I mean, yeah, Philly's nuts, man. I don't know what their first off, their highest paid defenseman doesn't even play. Andrew McDonald.
Oh my God.
That contract's nuts.
Well,
but Ivan Provorov is up, and now he's a left shooting D. But
he's gonna get a big old bunch of money though.
Okay. If you have a guy like that, or maybe a Travis Sanheim, who is also an RFA,
they're a team you call just because you should.
Yeah,
for sure. I don't know if that's the problem you fix. There's also nothing wrong with just winning trades. I don't care if the Leafs do like a wing for wing trade and they win it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, something like that. I'm excited to see what this summer holds. To
me now, I think it's, and we've talked about defense ad nauseum.
Yeah,
the Leafs just don't have the amount of talent with Jake Gardiner leaving.
Yeah,
if he was healthy this playoffs, I think they would have. But with Jake Gardiner leaving, I just don't think that they've got the talent to go deep in the playoffs. I think they know that though.
I don't know. I look at what's happened in this year's playoffs. Like Dallas on paper is the height of mediocrity. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. And Stars fans, I'm like, dude, aren't you guys a little bit surprised? Surely you are. You're a game away from the Final Four.
Mm-hmm.
Dallas? Did any of us call that? Come on. But you win one round, which we thought, maybe. You got a shot. Like, I just look at their weaknesses, and they're obvious, but I just don't see them as a write-off, because look around the league. There was a second-round series where the four goalies were Peter Mrazek, Curtis McElhinney, Thomas Greiss, and Robin Lehner. Are you joking? A year ago, we would have never predicted that.
You got to win a couple basement signings, too.
Yeah, you got to win a couple basement signings. Also, you got to develop. You got to bring in randoms who no one knows. Who, from the AHL. Some guy was your second pair AHL defenseman. You bring him in, turns out they're great.
Pierre Engvalls.
Yes. Yeah. Wouldn't that be great? Like,
he's big. Like, he's 6'4" every time he steps on the ice.
Marlies haven't lost a playoff game yet.
No, they haven't, which is unreal.
And, some people talking about, well, they won this one by the skin of their teeth and won that one. I don't care.
In the playoffs, that doesn't matter. It's that they won.
It doesn't matter.
You look at trends in the regular season. You don't look at trends in the playoffs unless it's like series to series. You can't. It's too short of a sample size. Anybody with who's nobody's measuring numbers over 7 games of a season and going like the regular season going, well, that's the way it's going to be, guys. No way.
It's also like the playoffs. I guess the Leafs' lack of playoff success has made me more than ever go, just win the fucking thing. Just win the thing. Who's going to win me the thing? That's all I care about. Who's going to show up when it matters the most? That's what was so big to me about Matthews torching the Bruins the way he did. Because, listen, all the criticism from the previous year was ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, you know what would quiet people down? You scoring a big old bunch of goals.
And he did.
And then he did that. So Kasimir Kaskisuo was garbage for
terrible
the Marlies.
Start the year.
It was terrible. And then he got hurt and wasn't able to get out of it. So this year was a bit of a wash for him. And last year he was loaned to the Chicago Wolves.
Chicago Wolves.
So that year, in terms of people having an eye on you, is a wash. Well, okay, at some point, you run out of opportunities. So here are the playoffs. Michael Hutchinson was up with the Leafs. That's the only reason Kaskisuo got starts. And you know what? He stopped pucks. What a novel concept for a goalie. Stop pucks. I don't care what the situation is. I don't care how you're feeling. I don't care what hurts. Stop the puck. Stop the puck. That is your job. And he stopped a shitload of pucks. It's
Jim
great.
Houston calls him Kaskisuo.
That's wrong.
Is he saying it wrong?
Yes,
or
he
are
is.
You saying it wrong?
I'm saying it right. He's saying it wrong.
All right.
I do like the way he says it. Kaskisuo.
All right.
Well, and what was his name? The play-by-play guy. He was with Sportsnet. He did the Leafs games last year.
Would that be Paul Romanek?
Yes, Paul Romanek. He said Kaskiseu, which is nope. Nope. Kaskisuo.
That's okay.
He's not, I don't know. Who knows? He might get called up to the Leafs or whatever. Might actually
Paul
play
Romanek?
this time. Yes. He might.
Anything's possible.
We're going to pause here.
No.
Because
The situation on right D is dire.
we've got to bring on a guest.
Yes, we do.
So we're going to bring on Erica Ayala. If you want to follow her on Twitter, it's at elindsay08. And Erica, you do a ton of different things. You're an analyst for the NWHL, and you could talk about so much about what's happened this year. And there's been a lot of players that have just said straight up, we're not going to play until women's hockey is better, until it's a system that works better. And, as somebody who covers the NWHL, we've had a lot of the CWHL coverage up here because it's obviously Canadian. It was born in Canada, mostly Canadian teams. What's been the reaction on the NWHL side of things? And do you think the NWHL has a system that could work for women's professional hockey already? And people just haven't come together yet.
Wow, yeah.
Sorry, that's a lot.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you for having me on. And I have been able to be with the league since the beginning in a few different capacities. And what I will say is what I'm getting is that I think people are slowly starting to come into feeling comfortable about talking individually about things. I think just from the nature of this being kind of for the game that is, being something that has happened as a collective, and of course people zoning in on people like Hillary Knight, Kendall Coyne, Schofield, etc. So I think you're starting to see other people slowly feel comfortable speaking. Of course, Anya Bottolino, who is the NWHL Players Association director, she's been one of the people a lot of people have spoken to. So it's hard to say how all of the players are feeling, those who haven't individually had conversations with people in media. My sense is that, though, from those players who have spoken, so on the side for the game, the hashtag for the game, you have Hillary Knight, who played in the CWHL last year, yes, but was played in the NWHL as well. Kendall Coyne Schofield played in the NWHL. Kimberly Sass is someone that I talked to, played in the NWHL last season, and then you have Madison Packer, Kaylee Fratkin, and again, Anya as a member of the Players Association. So just between that cluster of, I guess that was 5 or 6 players, you're getting a little bit of a different opinion. I think everyone, from what I've heard, is yes, we need women's hockey to be better. We want to really push for women's hockey to get to a level where we are getting a livable wage. I don't think there's any disagreement there. I do think, though, where there's a little bit of a splinter, mostly just coming from what players hope to understand a little bit more about, is that second question that you asked me. Is that the NWHL? If you speak to Hillary Knight, the answer is no. If you speak to Kimberly Sass, the answer is no. I understand Kendall Coyne Schofield. I haven't spoken to her recently, but I think her answer is probably no. But if you speak to Madison Packer, Kaylee Fratkin, her answer is maybe. They were able to negotiate, the NWHL players, that is, some things into the contract. Those contracts have not been finalized, so players haven't seen the final contract, but through the Players Association rep, Anya, my understanding is that, and her understanding as of this moment, is that some of those things might make it into the contract. So again, I think there is a splinter from NWHL players that I personally have spoken to, but I don't know that I have a good sense, or if anyone has a really good sense, of what the split is of all of the players that played in the NWHL last season, and where they're at, and if they think the NWHL can meet some of the expectations that hashtag for the game has.
Do you have a sense of anyone who ends up playing in the NWHL, is there going to be any animosity held against them from the 200 or so that are going to sit out the whole year?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Madison Packer is one of those players that I have spoken to, and she does expect to, if the NWHL is in existence, that's where she's going to play. I get the sense from her that right now where things are, and I think there's a lot of questions even in the player pool, I think they're trying really hard not to create animosity and to make this a us versus them. But there are a lot of frustrations as a part of just this entire conversation, even for those who are willing to give the NWHL a chance. And so I think the thing is, once we get a little bit further removed from last Thursday's announcement, maybe we'll start to see some of those frustrations focus in on the issues and not necessarily the individuals delivering the message. And I think we'll have a better sense then. But I think right now everyone has just so many things, so many frustrations, and so many things that they want for women's hockey moving forward. And I think that's all real. But I think now we're in the position where people are starting to sort that out.
After our last podcast, I don't remember who started it, but someone basically said, you should have Erica Ayala on the show. And then it sort of spitballed to, yes, you should, yes, you should, yes, you should. And there was like a dozen of them. So I know you obviously know the story incredibly well, and you've obviously heard a lot of people talking about it and like seen sort of the discourse online. What are people missing? What's been missed to you, or what's an under talked about aspect of this whole story?
Yeah, that's a great question. And honestly, if we had spoken yesterday, I would have said that there are differences of opinion. I think I was able to write pieces for the Hockey News and also the Guardian, and I did kind of talk about, maybe there are other ways of thinking about this. But just today, Haley, who I know you've had, and Katie Strang, they put out another piece. Those are two great follows, particularly coming out of the Toronto area when it comes to this. They just put out a piece also where they were speaking to players saying, listen, I have questions. I don't always feel comfortable attributing the questions that I have to myself if I'm talking to media. So I think, again, that's the piece of the story that I think is, until recently, has been kind of under the radar, in that there are differences of opinions, even from people who perhaps have provided via social media their support. I think the other thing, and this is a part of the conversation that's happened for a while, but I think another thing is if the NWHL, and if this is Hilary Knight, she does not think the NWHL is the path for the future of women's hockey. But right now, there's not necessarily a direct ask to the NHL, to the National Hockey League. So another question is it only, are all roads leading to the NHL, or is there something else that could happen in the next year or 2 years before we get to the WNHL that would satisfy what players are really seeking? And I don't know that we really have those answers.
Yeah, you touched on something there, because what we kept talking about last week was, this doesn't seem random. This doesn't seem like an action that was taken without a plan, right? And I don't know. The NHL sorta seems like the obvious partner and all that, but what are you reading out of this? Is it going to be a partnership with the NHL? Is it going to be this brand new thing?
Right. And I think, again, the underlying assumption is that is the hope. I've heard from people that they are under the assumption and under the impression that this will be something that happens eventually through the NHL. I've heard also that the NHL has been having conversations with certain women in hockey. So some of that we know. So Cassie Campbell, Pascal, for example, has spoken for the better part of 2 years now about how she feels that the NHL and Gary Bettman do have a plan for women's hockey. I believe she's alluded to seeing the plan or being privy to some of what that plan might include. So that's not surprising. I think there are a lot of assumptions also from people who maybe aren't involved in as many of these hashtag for the game conversations, that there are people at the top level of the movement that are having conversations with the NHL. But there doesn't seem to be a concrete plan, at least that people are willing to share. I asked Hilary Knight if she had seen any of that, or if she knew if anything from the NHL existed, if that's something that she was really pushing for. And I mean, her answer was you'd have to ask them, which is fair, and many people have, including myself, for multiple months over, including in the last week. And the NHL doesn't seem to really want to move on women's ice hockey right now.
Weird.
That is, yeah. It's odd. I mean,
I don't understand the ghost story mystery vibe that's coming from it all. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I do. Yeah, absolutely.
It's very. If every time we talk about this story, it feels like there's like a piece missing. Like, why? What don't we know? You know what I mean? Because there has to be Erica, there has to be a reason that 200 people, 200 extremely talented people who have a limited time to do what they've been doing their whole lives will stand back from a game and go, we're not doing this until this improves. If there's not some prospect of hope in the future, like
a reason beyond this isn't sustainable.
If you're going to flex your muscle, there has to be a reason that you're pushing someone in a certain direction, right? And I don't know, I mean, to be honest with you, I don't know that 200 of them is enough to push the NHL if that's what they're trying to do. And I don't, because I just don't. Listen, I don't mean this I don't mean this to think that the NHL isn't trying to do what's best here. The NHL's got to do what's best for the NHL. I think investing in the women's game has definitely benefits for the NHL, especially going forward. Beyond those that are financial, which I think, we've seen it in Canada with the ratings and stuff. You can make money off women's hockey in Canada. It is possible. What I don't understand is who this is targeted to. Like, is it?
Yes, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to flex your muscle, who are you pushing? Are you pushing the NWHL to change something about itself? Or are you pushing some sort of investor? Or, like, that's the part I don't get. And Eric, do you get a sense of any of that?
No, I think you're asking a lot of the questions that I have as well. I think even if you look at the statement read, so the statement comes out, what was it, May 2nd, was it? May 2nd. So this is 1 day removed from the official closing of the CWHL, but the statement did not read, we won't sign any contracts in the National Women's Hockey League. Right. It said, we won't sign any contracts in North America. So... Right. Does that mean that if a new league came by and they happen to want to run in North America, and are they not going to sign in that league either? Because it seems to me like there's only one women's hockey league that exists in North America. So why not just say that you will not sign a contract in the NWHL? I don't know. That was a choice that was made. I don't know. When I asked Hilary Knight if she would have signed and played in Montreal had the league not folded, she said yes, that is something that she would have done. So again, this seems to be, and even though she said, we're not trying to destroy the NWHL, okay, maybe you're not intentionally trying to destroy the NWHL, but one, why not? Because that seems to be the gripe. And two, if you're not, you have to know that is the immediate, I would argue, impact. If there's any immediate impact for the game, it is going to be to the NWHL. They're already saying that they have 200 players that are not going to sign, so that depletes their player pool. And if they are able to find players, that's going to change their marketing strategy, I'm sure, because there will be no Hilary Knight, there will be no Kendall Coyne-Schofield, there will be no Shannon Zabadoff, there will be no Blake Bolden if we're going by players that have, tweeted out the hashtag. So again, the immediate impact is on the NWHL, and I'm just confused. As someone who also works in advocacy, you have to be clear with your target, especially your immediate target, and I don't think there is clarity. And so, those are great questions. Those are questions that I have, and some of the frustrations, quite honestly, that I have with trying to cover this story. And then just as a fan, I'm like, all right, I want to get behind you, but I got to know what I'm getting behind.
Right. Agreed. Yeah, 100%. We all want a better organizational structure. I just don't understand. And that's the frustrating part, is the silence after the statement's made. Like, name somebody your PR rep for the 200 people that have signed this and tour them around, have them go into Sportsnet and TSN and NBC and all the other, the major hockey outlets that talk about this stuff. Go on your ESPN podcast with, Greg Wyshynski and talk about, we would gladly welcome any of those 200 members. I don't know them personally. I'd love to reach out.
Well, and there was like a little bit of a media tour. But it was like, I don't know, a 2 or 3 day thing.
Yeah. But again, did we get a clear message from that? And we didn't. So that's what, to me, what's the end game? What's the Avengers end game on this one?
Well played.
So thank you. I appreciate that. So anyway, Erica, it's been it's so great talking to you. Thank you so much for everything. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, and I guess,
thank you so much.
I guess I want to end with, so you cover the NWHL.
Yes.
What is your plan for the season? That sounds like it's happening.
Yeah, well, I do cover women's hockey. I was able to cover the CWHL last year, went to the All-Star game, made it to that Markham game against Montreal, where Markham got like 3 block shots against Marie-Philippe Poulin. Maybe heard of her. It's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
In the last seconds to win the game. That was an amazing game. That was my first ever regular season CWHL game. So I am very glad that I got that experience. Very sad I won't, at least it looks like, get it again. But I'm obviously going to be following this story. I mean, this is the women's hockey story. As far as, being on broadcast or doing some of the things that I did with players, that's to be seen. But I do have some plans to talk with players, not just from the CWH or from the NWHL, but also the CWHL. So hopefully the coverage continues because, again, the storylines of what these women do off of the ice, it plays into hashtag for the game. It plays into whether they're going to look at an NWHL contract and opt to sign on or not. It impacts everything from players who got visas either through the CWHL or the NWHL, and what are they going to do in the coming months if neither league is operating? It comes down to some of the different, girls learn to skate programs through the BRuined, for example, and who's going to run those camps if 200-plus players have said that they're not with the NWHL, essentially. And so are they going to then be asked by the NWHL to work an NWHL-sponsored camp? So I think there are going to be lots of storylines to follow, so that's what I'll be doing.
Amazing.
And the biggest story hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. It will be very, very interesting. I think come end of August, early September, everybody starts to get itchy feet and wants to get back out on the ice. We're going to see something. I don't think you get 200 people to agree on anything unless there's a defined goal, and they're being awfully quiet about it. So it'll be very, very interesting to see where this goes. And Erica, we're going to keep in touch with you. Again, it's elindsay08. Did I get that right?
You got it. You nailed it.
Follow Erica Ayala on Twitter. And thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. And we look forward to talking to you again and your continued work. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, fellas.
Steve's not crying, by the way. I think he just got his thank you caught in the throat.
Allergies, sorry.
He's like, thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to miss you.
Thanks, Erica. Take care.
Take care.
All right, bye. Well, she was
Sorry,
great.
I've been
You struggling?
talking like Hagrid for a month now. I hate
That's
it.
okay. Man, it's very odd to me that they're being quiet. It's very
Same.
odd to me. It's very, very odd.
They said this big thing, and then there's just nothing. And from both sides, there's just nothing.
That would be like us saying, we're unhappy with the advertising revenue we're making off this show. We're not going to do a show for an entire
with
year.
any podcast network in North America.
Yeah.
For a year. But in hopes of there being a better podcast network.
That's what, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's got to be something here.
Yeah.
Yes. No, I 100% agree. And and this is the funny thing, is like she's obviously very well informed. And the impression I got was it seems obvious to her.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if it seems obvious to us and then it seems obvious to her, I don't know. Something's obviously going to happen. I don't think this whole full year. We're not going to go a full year without hearing anything. You know?
Nah.
Something wrong.
They're just going to sit out a year, and then after a year, they're
All right,
just
now
going
we're back.
to go play. And
We're
that'll be
back.
it.
There's no way. Boy, it's a real shame. You look at some of the players on that list and you go, Jesus.
Yeah.
Don't you just wish that this shit had sorted itself out 10 years ago? Because there are some great players that are just not going to play, and
And they're in
think
their prime.
Yeah, in their prime, and that just sucks. It's like losing an NHL season to a lockout. It's losing women's hockey, and as somebody, and this rings particularly true for me now, because I'm like a month away from being a dad and a month away from having a daughter. It's important. And you do start to look at things differently. Although I always kind of looked at it this way. I always kind of thought I would end up with a daughter anyway. To be honest with you, like I always sort of thought that. My mom was like, "You're gonna have a daughter, so you can know what it's like." So because I had to have a son, you're having a daughter. I look at when we went to the CWHL All-Star game, when we did stuff with women's hockey, when we played road hockey with Sasky and Laura Fortino and Natalie Spooner and all the women that were there. You want if your kid is into sports, you want them to have someone to look up to. And we were finally there at that point. We had 2 leagues. They could have figured it out and merged. They didn't. One fell apart and auctioned all its shit off. And then
in the strangest, most haphazard way ever.
200, and it's run by a former professional women's hockey player, by the way.
And now I'm going to get these emails from that friggin' auction company for the rest of my life.
Let me just.
You can unsubscribe to those emails.
No.
You know.
It's an extra step. That sounds exhausting, Jesse.
Shot in the dark. If you are one of the 200 people, 200 women,
I have a couple numbers.
I'm still going to throw it out there publicly anyway.
Yeah, no.
If you are still one of the if you are one of the 200 members and you would like to talk, off record or on, give us something we could quote. We can keep you anonymous.
Yeah.
We want to know what's up.
There were
what's going on.
There were 2
names. You can email
names.
us, stevedanglepodcast@gmail.com.
There you go. There were 2 names given to me, but we didn't have it confirmed until it was way too late in the last episode. And then people requested Erica, so I was like, all right, we'll have Erica on. So who knows? Maybe next time we can have someone who played in one of the 2 leagues next week. Because I have
be nice.
2 numbers already. So
It would be nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about the Evanston Oilers.
Oh, boy.
You have well-kept, well-put-together Ken Holland. You have well-kept, buttoned-down Bob Nicholson. And you have just walked off the beach, Daryl Cates.
I saw a picture from the press conference today.
Listen, I don't want to...
You know, you don't need to say anything. You don't need to show up. You're the owner.
What I love
You put
is
out
that
a tweet.
he's got a good base tan, and it's only May.
Good for him.
But in all honesty, it did look, I mean, it did look like it was kind of like one of these things is not like the other, right?
Well, and people were talking about the way he spoke. Like, he's just always talked that way.
Yeah, that's the way he speaks. Like, if you see any interview with Daryl Cates, you're like, oh, okay, that's the way he speaks.
It seems like agony for him to talk on camera. And here's my theory. Maybe don't. Maybe don't do that thing that makes you uncomfortable. That's all.
Agreed.
But anyway, moving on to the whole Ken Holland thing.
Can I just say this? It doesn't matter if Ken Holland is successful or not. Ken Holland just won today.
Well, Ken Holland won.
Yeah.
Because he got a big old bunch of money.
This is what the problem is. The problem is you got a guy who's already won a cup. He's already done his stuff.
Several.
You gave him... Yeah, you're right, because he was with the Red Wings organization for 36 years. Several cups. A lot of painful years to get there, but he did it. You've given him $25 million over the next 5 years. Every single penny of that. And I bet that deal is front-loaded, by the way. Every single penny of that is non-refundable, as in you will pay him that money. You will pay him that money. There's no choice. You can hate him, you can fire him, you can do whatever. He still gets paid that money. I know Ken Holland is an ambitious man. But every other manager who's gone in there has gone, I'm so tired of this bullshit, or they've gotten fired.
Right.
Adam, he's 63, not 103. He has a burning desire to win.
Oh, boy.
Who said this?
Is that account a parody account, by the way? There are people messaging me going,
my God.
Quoting Jim Matheson.
Okay, NHL by Maddie.
That's parody, right?
It is a Sophie Merckx situation.
Okay.
We are being catfished
Are we?
by someone impersonating Jim Matheson. Jim Matheson doesn't have Twitter.
Are we sure that's Jim
It's
Matheson?
100% the case.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
it's not.
It's not?
It
is.
is.
No, but,
No,
Steve, don't be sarcastic. Is it Jim Matheson?
It
I,
is.
in my heart of hearts, don't believe that's Jim Matheson. It's not verified, and it constantly tweets out nothing but hits. That is a fake account. That is someone doing like an Edmonton Oilers version of drill. It's a
Jesse.
fake Twitter.
Yeah.
When you were go down a little bit and look at the tweets with when Ken Holland starts to be the guy that emerges as the front runner.
Yeah.
And every tweet is Ken Holland, be good to have him here, but gotta include Keith Gretzky.
Keith Gretzky.
Like every tweet.
Yeah.
Jim
that's
Matheson-
literally what it is.
Did Jim Matheson play goal for the French hockey team? This is a Sophie Merckx situation. This is a bit of a deep reference.
Okay,
Oh
this
yeah,
is
you
that-
weren't even here
Okay,
yet.
you're way too deep.
Yeah,
you can't say
I
Sophie
don't-
Merckx because I wouldn't even know what that is.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Like, I
Sophie
know-
Merckx is there. Okay, so years ago in like 2013.
This is why this reference is too deep.
Yeah, there were like 6 Twitter accounts of these women who would talk about hockey every now and then, and one of them, the most prominent, I would say, was Sophie Merckx, who claimed to have this long traumatic story, and she used to play, I think it was goalie for the French women's team. And what Sarah Connors, who I believe was the first ever guest we ever had on the Steve Dangle podcast, what she exposed was 6 of those women were actually one dude named Kyle from Waterloo.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
And like
That's crazy.
would it go into long conversations about their past being abused and stuff like that. It was like it was the ultimate hockey Twitter catfish at that time.
If you want to listen back to the episode, I think it's a great one, me telling the story. Chris cut out a lot of me saying angry things, but the stuff he kept in was pretty good too. It's love you dangler fish.
And you expected people to understand
Yes.
what you meant.
Some
by
people did,
Sophie
and that's
Marks.
all. That's the only people who matter.
Oh,
Can you
10
imagine-
people.
Can you imagine Steve did
got
this
that?
podcast by himself? It would just be
be
Andrew
shit.
Bruin's rants for an hour, and also this Sophie Merck situation.
Well, lucky for me, I don't do it by myself, do I? I have someone to keep me on track.
We love you, man. We love you.
Anyways, that tweet I was half quoting, the full thing is, one thing about Holland, on any list of top 10 GMs in NHL history, he's on it. Pollock, Torrey, Sather, Lamoriello. No reason to think he can't do what Lamoriello did with the Islanders in 1 year. He's 63, not 103, has burning desire to win, and I would want Keith Gretzky in the picture.
Oh my God.
Close it by saying, I would want Keith Gretzky in the picture.
How much money does this? Like Keith Gretzky must owe Maddie money.
Oh,
because
yeah.
he needs to get his money back. Like you owe me $45, and I need my money back. And for you to pay me my $45, you got to keep collecting that
Ken
paycheck.
Holland is a great man with multiple Stanley Cups. He's 63, not 103. He's full of piss and vinegar. He's a young man out there. Also, Keith Gretzky looks like he gives great hugs. It's a fake account.
Do you guys know who NHL by Maddie wants to be the next GM of the Oilers?
It's not Keith Gretzky.
It's not Keith Gretzky.
So
I'm
far,
gonna
it's Sophie
repeat that.
Marks.
Gretzky waiting to get off the Keith Gretzky train.
Oh, not GM. Sorry, head coach.
Oh,
Sophie Merks. Dale Hunter. No. Couldn't be. The next head coach. Okay, who is the worst possible option? Let's
I'm gonna.
think.
Can we
Philly
call-
hired 2 of them.
I gotta get Jim Matheson's phone number. I want to know. I gotta know, man.
Who's your guess? Who does he think should be
who's
next
the-
head coach?
Who's available? Randy Carlisle. I don't know.
Is that your guess?
No, Randy's not fired yet, though, is he?
No,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, he is. Yeah, Randy. Randy.
Incorrect.
Ah, damn.
This guy had a brief stint in Edmonton. He says, if Ken Holland wants to go more experience for head coach, there's Ken Hitchcock, and Dave Tippett. Of course, but keep in mind this name. Todd Nelson.
Oh, yeah.
He was very successful coaching Wings farm team. Now in Dallas as assistant coach, had intern run here after Dallas Eakins.
You laugh, but a lot of Oilers fans dig that.
You want to bring back Todd Nelson?
They dig the idea.
Why?
Supposedly, he was like a relatively open thinker compared to what people were used to, and he has had success elsewhere. And Dallas Eakins seems like the heir apparent in Anaheim. So there's that. You're not going to bring back that former guy.
'Kay.
So why not bring back the other former guy, Todd Nelson?
I just ran a search from the Edmonton Sun.
Oh, God.
So Maddie works for both the Sun and the Journal because they're owned by the same company. And the Edmonton Sun uses at NHL by Maddie to tweet his articles
it's
out.
his.
It's
It's
act-
his.
This
that's
conspiracy runs
It's
deep.
not fake.
It's
him.
Conspiracy
I
runs
thought
deep.
like it legitimately
That's
could
just
be.
Steve being crazy.
No.
That's just
I've
Steve
never
being
been crazy once.
This is his Twitter account.
Nope. No, it's not. Simply no.
Anyways, I derailed the conversation.
No, sorry.
From the actual GM.
So Todd. So Jesus.
Get all
Ken Holland.
Ken Holland.
Ken Holland.
He has an untouchable legacy. Like what I said in my video was Peter Chiarelli has a cup. Okay. Lots of GMs have 1 cup.
Mm-hmm.
This guy's got, what, 4?
Yeah.
That's a
and
tough
found
one.
like he was the guy under like the regime that found Zetterberg and Datsuk in the late rounds, and
Yeah.
like he was a part of the Shanahan trade, which was controversial at the time, trading Paul Coffey, letting go of Dino Ciccarelli after that amazing season. Like Tampa Tampa just got Detroited, right? Detroit from that season, though, made it to the conference finals at least, and then the Avalanche beat them, I believe.
Yes, and the Avalanche were this weird... It's funny, ironically enough, the Avalanche were sort of the Columbus of that year, not just in color scheme, but also they were already a decent team, and then they added Patrick Waugh. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They were already, okay, do they stand a chance against Detroit? Probably not. Okay, well, what if you give them Patrick Waugh? What? Holy shit. Yeah, okay, maybe.
Yeah, right?
So that was sort of it. The Quebec Nordiques weren't bad. They were really good when they moved.
And it's funny because if the Nordiques had stayed in Quebec, people were like, well, they would have won the Cup. There's no way that Patrick Waugh would have been traded from Montreal to Quebec.
Yeah.
There's no way. Montreal would have never, ever, ever traded him to the Quebec Nordiques. The Avalanche, though, they're a new team. That's benign.
And he'd have a totally different legacy, too.
100%. Yep.
That would have changed a lot
He'd
of
be
legacies.
a quote-unquote problematic guy.
Yeah.
He caused a ruckus, and they traded him for personality reasons. When have we heard that in Montreal before?
Never.
Never.
not
Or
once.
since, I mean. Ken Holland's got... Here's the thing. Okay, so I've been on record as saying the Edmonton Oilers cannot make enough intelligent decisions in a row to turn this around.
I disagree.
There is one time, and when I said that, Ken Holland was not in the picture, right? Yzerman hadn't been brought in, and then even if he had, Ken Holland was still the senior advisor. Remember, like a week ago, he was sitting beside Yzerman going, "Sure can't wait to help old Junior out."
Yeah.
And then he leaves.
Holland was never really mentioned as a real option. I don't
Right.
think. He was just this, I mean, there's Holland, but he's never going to come. And then he did. The Oilers got Holland a lot like the Leafs got Babcock. Nah, it's not really going to happen. Oh, holy shit, it happened. Okay.
Yeah. Now, if you're an
Well, it's
Edmonton
here.
fan, you got to be excited because there's a couple ways that this can go really right for you.
Yeah.
The first thing is you have Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. I could have just said Connor McDavid and you're fine, right?
100%. You don't even need to make the best team.
No, you don't.
And you should be able to win a cup.
Now, Leon Draisaitl, and I think the average Oiler fan without the angry Twitter yelling, everybody agrees that Leon Draisaitl needs to carry his own line now. Right?
I think so.
Yeah. Now, in his defense, they need to get him some wingers.
Yes.
And they can do that. Ken Holland's got something that nobody in the Oilers organization had, not even Bob Nicholson, and that is clout, motherfucker. Clout. He has words that carry weight. And when you're in a management position, so much of what power is and so much of what influence is based on poof, nothing. It's based on what your record's been before, but that's about it, right?
Yeah.
Like you respect somebody because of what they did before, and you think that in their past they've made enough correct decisions that the thing that they're asking you to do that maybe is unpopular is okay, well, I got to go with Ken on this one because Ken knows better than I do. He's won all those cups.
Right.
Right? Ken, however, ran up a brutal salary cap in Detroit with an owner who was aging and ailing.
Yes.
They have a brilliant business plan down there. The business side of what the Red Wings have done and the Ilitch family has done is amazing. Like that whole redevelopment project, if you really read into that, wow. And that is the best arena in hockey right now.
It benefits Detroit.
Yes.
Not just the Red Wings, right?
Bingo. Okay. Exactly. Now, they got some benefits that maybe they shouldn't have gotten because they're billionaires, but Detroit really didn't have any choices, right?
I guess.
So
I don't know the ins and outs.
Well, the ins and outs were Detroit was bankrupt.
Oh, well. There's that.
So, if you have a billionaire family willing to come in and go, we're going to invest in this, you might get some tax breaks. Now, when it comes to Ken Holland, the thing that he has to do, and this is the key, Ken Holland had to have had the carte blanche card given to him.
Yes.
And that's why he's the president and GM, correct?
No, well,
He's the president of hockey ops.
The very confusing thing here is Bob Nicholson is taking on a bigger role somehow.
Yeah, even though he was president of the team.
I maybe undersold that in the video.
I think Bob's
I don't
taking over the business side. Like when the Jays won the World Series, Paul Beeston was the business guy, and who was the GM? Pat Gillick, baseball genius, was the baseball side, and they ran it together. They ran a good business. They made a huge amount of money, and they had brilliant players and the highest salary in the league at that time.
Okay,
I think Bob Nicholson's going to run the hockey business side, and I think Ken Holland's going to run the hockey side.
So this is what I was saying. The comparison of Holland to Lamoriello I don't think is a bad one. They've both had a lot of success. I want to see 4 cups.
Each?
I think, yeah.
I could check.
Enough. A big old bunch of cups. But what Lou did with the Leafs, that guy didn't mess around. And the joke I keep going back to is his first trade was he traded 5 guys on picture day. He blew it up. And we looked at a lot of the Leafs' problems at the time, remember? Mm-hmm. And we were like, how on earth do they move on from these? There's no way. How do they move on from David Clarkson? Can't be done.
Did it.
How do they move on from Joffrey Lupul? Can't be done. Bent a few rules, but they did. Yes, they did. I'm going to say they did. Did he show up on the cap? No, they did. So it is doable. So Holland, his job is to come in and I think change what it means to be an Oiler, because it's poison there right now, and it's not the fans. There was an accusation of, well, the fans are poisonous. No, the fans are pissed off because the team sucks and has sucked for a very long time. That's the problem. So Holland's job, I think, is to come in and change the culture and surround himself with, I think, some creative minds, maybe some new
young
blood.
minds.
Yeah, young minds would be nice.
He needs his next Yzerman. He needs somebody to mentor.
Yeah. Yes. Who is basically... Remember when Brian Burke was at this isn't the greatest comparison, but when Brian Burke was Leafs GM, they basically made it sound like Dave Nonis was his co-GM.
Yes.
Dave Nonis did this trade. Dave Nonis did that trade. Yeah, not exactly the greatest Batman and Robin scenario, but it's not the worst thing if you do have a guy that you're mentoring. Those guys were like buddies. So,
What if Dave Nonis was mentoring a potato?
Probably eat it.
I would eat
That's
it.
what I would do.
I'm not going to mentor a potato.
But then the potato made all the decisions instead. The team would be a lot better.
They would
right
be
now.
better. Jesse makes a great point.
Yeah.
So if it can be a little bit more like that.
In fact, in place of the potato, nothing. Still
Yes.
would have been made the team better.
The problem is I don't think the potato would be good for the Oilers' needs. They need to do something rather than nothing.
To answer your question, Lamoriello has 3 Stanley Cups and 1 World Series ring.
Wow.
Yeah, he's a minority owner in the Yankees, so he got a 2009 World Series ring.
Lamoriello?
Yeah.
Get out.
He's 1 World
Of course
Series.
he's a minority owner
So,
of the
yeah.
Yankees. Man,
an evil man.
Imagine all the Mets Islanders fans who are like, what?
Oh, yeah.
right
Yeah.
now?
Oh, yeah.
I bet he's not trumpeting that around his area in New York. Now, with Ken Holland, I think you're going to see one of two things, okay? So if he got the carte blanche card, you're going to see a lot of quiet exits. And
Interesting.
And what I mean by quiet exits is you're going to hear about them 6 months after they happen. You're going to hear
This
that
guy's
Paul
gone,
Coffey is
that
no
guy's
longer
gone.
with the team, as an example,
Or something like
or
that.
something like that. Not Paul Coffey necessarily, but he was the marquee hire from the last 18 months.
Something tells me Ken Holland doesn't give much of a shit about the former Oilers.
Well, and
You
former
know?
Detroit Red Wing that Ken Holland had a part in moving on before they went and won 2 cups as Paul Coffey. And you're going to start to see the Oilers buddies. Not necessarily, they may not be off payroll, but their power in that organization will be gone.
Hopefully.
I would love, I think
Whatever
Oilers
their
fans,
power is.
as an exorcism, would love to see certain guys just fired and their asses kicked out the door and fine.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to see that, but I definitely do think that you're going to see guys like Craig McTavish, Kevin Lowe. Who was the other general manager there for a year?
Steve Tambellini.
Steve Tambellini. Those guys are all still with the organization. Over the last 20 years, they haven't lost a person. I think those guys will move on. And I think they'll be allowed to do so gracefully. But Ken Holland, his first order of business is clearing that up. They have got to go. Because even if they're there and you're like, oh, just ignore their advice, if they are in the room, they will poison.
Yeah.
And it's not because they're poisonous people. It's because their ideas are old and they no longer work. And they're going to, it does get into your head after a while. It does.
Or
There's no
it's
way.
just not going to work here. Like it's just,
Yeah. And they could go on and be very successful elsewhere. I'm not saying that you can't translate that. I'm just saying they got to move on.
Red Wings, the Wing Wheel podcast, I thought they were really fair talking about Holland. They acknowledged all his successes, but they were like, let's not completely whitewash the thing. Like, Jesus Murphy, look what he did in the past few years. And there was all this talk I saw from people that he left the Red Wings in terrible shape. I'll go back at that a bit.
Okay.
The Red Wings there's a difference between being bad in being in bad shape. There's an argument to be made that I would say the Red Wings are in about the same shape as the Oilers. With the Oilers' problem is now. Like, teams that are bad on purpose are usually in good shape because they're rebuilding. The Oilers are bad by accident. They didn't know they sucked. The Red Wings, I feel like, were bad by accident, and now they're bad on purpose, and their best players are young. You look at that team: Anthony Mantha, Dylan Larkin, Tyler Bertuzzi, Andreas Athanasiou. They got Philip Zadina coming. They got another guy coming in this year's draft. So I wouldn't say Holland left them in the worst shape. I think it was a dynasty that ran its course. Yes, they had some horrible contracts.
And then overran their course.
Yeah, overran their course.
Overcommitted to guys that they shouldn't have.
Yeah, terrible contracts. But he left them with a base they could build from. You know what I mean? His job in Edmonton is a neat one because are they going to rebuild? I don't think so. But also, rebuilds don't take as long as they used to. Unless
true.
you're Buffalo or Edmonton.
I want to read this tweet to you. This is Ryan Hanna from the Wing Wheel Pod.
Yeah.
And this is very funny.
This has been a month for them.
Oh, man, they've had a good time. So Ryan wrote this. Ken Holland sat at his new desk and looked down at the roster sheet in front of him. Milan Lucic, $6 million through 2022-2023, no movement clause. Ken smiled as a wave of warm familiarity washed over him. He was home. That's funny. Come on.
It is
and that
very
speaks to what happened in Detroit towards the end. Mm-hmm. And just like what people hang on Mike Babcock, you got to hang the same thing on Ken Holland. They have not had a lot of success since 2012, 2013. And Mike's, I would say Mike's had way more success with a young team and a rebuild and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Different position. Ken Holland, now the key for Ken Holland will be moving those guys on. And the second thing is finding these young guys that he did before that actually have great brains and creativity. And the Oilers have got to go beyond offering, a $30,000 salary to somebody who's on the internet and tweeting about stats or has some experience or whatever. They have to invest some money in some young people.
$30,000? Whoa. Why so much money, said the Nashville Predators.
Isn't that
But you could get that for free.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Like, you got to take some of that money that is going to the guys that are sitting in the box seats anytime they decide to be in town. And you got to put that towards some young minds.
Yep.
And you got to pay them fair wages. Mm-hmm. And you got to find among that group of people your next general manager.
Sure.
Ken Holland, at 63 years old, needs to take the next 5 years and train his replacement.
But Adam, he's not 103 years old.
Did you see the Detroit radio broadcaster who ripped him and called him a trust fund kid? Ken Holland? Jim Costa, as I brought up here. Jim Costa.
Ken Holland, the trust fund kid?
Yeah, of ESPN.
Well, who cares how much money he had growing up?
Called him, he said he ruined this team for a decade and just, destroyed him.
Well, he's not wrong. I don't know if he calling him a trust fund kid is okay. I don't know what Ken Holland's history is. I don't know whether he came from a rich family or not. It doesn't matter. The guy was quite successful for a long time. What I would ask...
No, he meant in terms of, the team. He inherited the team from Scotty Bowman as a great team already.
But
Red
Ken
Wings.
was there too.
I'm just relaying the rant that this
and what
guy
I would
had.
ask this
That's
guy
pretty
is,
unfair.
What I would ask this guy is, would you then give back your 4 cups then,
Yeah. When did Ken Holland take over?
or give back your 2 cups?
1997. He stepped in as general manager in 97.
Dude, they won in 2002 and 2008.
And 97, 98, didn't they?
No, 97, 98, but those were the trust fund cups, Adam.
He says Scotty Bowman built that thing up. Jim Devellano built that thing up.
Jim Devellano was great.
European scouting ahead of its time built that thing up. He was handed the GM chair just like a rich person hands down their fortune to their son or their daughter who didn't work for it, didn't earn it, but is now going to benefit from it. And Ken Holland would go on to win a cup in 98 when money was no object. The owner opened up the pocketbook and they won it in 02. Salary Cup comes in mind in the mid-2000s. They ride that into a Stanley Cup, but when it was time for Ken Holland to build up on his own merits, you saw what happened to him. Trust fund kid. Everything was handed to him. When he had to work for it, the franchise crumbled.
Wow.
That's ridiculous.
Okay, first off,
It's a good rant.
Give back your cups, man. Give back your cups.
Yeah.
Second thing I would say is if it really mattered that in that era of teams spending piles of money, forget that Toronto was outspending everybody. New York went out and bought Valerie Kamensky, Theo Fleury,
Valerie Bure,
Valerie Bure,
Pavel Bure.
Jaromir Jagr,
Eric Lindros, Theron Fleury.
And where did they go? I said Theron Fleury.
Oh, you
Just wanna
did?
say I
Sorry,
beat
my
you.
bad.
No, I'm kidding. Wasn't Darius Kasparaitis there for a while on a big fat contract or something? They went out and paid fortunes for guys who didn't deserve it, but they could because it didn't matter. And they still couldn't. The New York Rangers signed like 4 free agents at once. Theron Fleury being the marquee one, and I think Valerie Kamensky was kind of the second one. In that one summer in like 1998, there was like 4 guys they signed, and they couldn't make the playoffs.
Do you want a little more of this rant?
Yeah, man.
Ken Holland drove this franchise into the ground. After 2009, when they appeared in the Stanley Cup final and lost, we stared at a decade of incompetence. 3 playoff series wins in 10 years when they've been trying to win, resisting a rebuild and still putting out that subpar performance, signing mediocre players to 5, 6, and 7-year deals, giving them no trade clauses on top of that, bought at every single deadline up until about 18 months ago when we had no choice but to be a seller. I am bitter. This man destroyed my hockey team for a decade. Do I have a right to be bitter?
Yes, he has a right to be bitter about the last decade.
You talk about a writer who is clearly from
He's a radio
He's a
guy.
radio host.
He's a radio man.
This
like
is
us.
this is a transcribed rant. He sounds like a Steve Dangle type.
I
Cares
don't-
about his team.
Yeah, he's passionate.
Upset.
This is what I would be if I was used to winning every frigging year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they also have the Lions there, but the Tigers win.
Right?
But when
they
it
used
comes to the Red Wings, they expect a cup every year. And let me tell you, kid, you have no idea. I don't care how old this guy is. I don't care if he's 63 or 103. Let me tell you, kid, you have no idea.
Anyways. I thought
3
that was
series
interesting.
wins in a decade? Holy shit. You guys got a juggernaut on your hands. Oh, my God.
I
That's
thought you could relate. Somebody caring about their team.
I can relate.
I think I'm a little bit more reasonable.
I think. Yeah, the whole city of Boston agrees with you right
Yeah,
now.
I'm sure they do.
Listen, I think it's he's not wrong.
Sometimes you need
that Ken Holland and staff did a really bad job from about 2012 on.
So why do we trust that he's going to do a better job with the
I don't.
Oilers?
All I can say is that Ken Holland could. If as I said, Ken Holland has the clout.
Yeah.
Because hockey guys are like, hockey managers seem to forget that 2008 was 10 years ago or 11 years ago now. They think that was really like
Recent.
And it still blows my mind how somebody's success 10 or 15 years ago still is like, well, he had success.
Yeah.
When? That's like saying in 1995 that somebody who had success in 1980 or 1982 or 3 is a guy that's... The game changed enormously in that time. And it changed even more in the decade we're talking about. I don't understand how people... Like, Ken Holland wouldn't have been my guy. If I was running Edmonton, and I'm not, obviously, and Bob Nicholson is not a guy... Bob Nicholson's conservative. Bob Nicholson's not going to go with an unknown. But what you do, if you're Daryl Cates, is you clean house, and you find some young, scrappy people... And that's what you do.
That's what you would do.
That's what I would do.
That's what you do. But Daryl Cates is nuts and doesn't listen to shit. So that's the problem, is that he's nuts and doesn't listen to shit.
You got to wonder, too, is this Bob Nicholson's choice or is this Daryl Cates' choice?
I think either Bob Nicholson or Daryl Cates. I mean, because it's Daryl Cates' wallet that he had to open.
Yeah.
So Daryl
You got to
Cates-
ask him.
Yeah. He brought in a guy he'll listen to.
That's honestly, that's like Brian Murray in Ottawa.
Which is
Eugene Melnick listened to him.
Which
Yeah.
is honestly more mature of a decision than I thought they would make. You know? So if they I don't want Ken Holland doing a lot of the trade calls. I don't want him signing the contracts. But if he comes in, if he's the voice of not the voice of reason, the voice of shut up, adults are talking. You know, if he's the voice of shut up, adults are talking, and he brings in the right people, the Oilers have a chance. If they force him to do everything, they're
I can't wait for
Ken-
them to trade for Mike Green.
Oh my
It's going to be great.
If a
And
Ken
Justin
Holland
Applicator.
buffer just is there enough to be like, let's not trade Taylor Hall. Just like something simple like that. Just
Yes.
one person who would step in and be like, okay, I'm going to be the guard for this dumb decision. That's a good decision.
Like
Bring him in.
when Daryl Cates comes to ask you a question, there's got to be like a little metal flap that you open and go, "What?"
Mm-hmm.
You know? Well, I think we should trade Connor McSlam, and you just slam the flap in his face, and you go back into your little tree fort.
Yeah.
Because the guy can't be trusted. So bring in a young, scrappy guy. I'm with you. Daryl isn't, and that's the problem. He's not going to listen to that young person. They'll last 1 or 2 years and then be gone.
Mm-hmm.
So if Holland comes in and then brings in the guys that you're talking about and vouches for them, they have a shot.
Yeah.
So that's why I think Holland he's the right fit for them. I don't know if he's the right fit for your team, whoever you are listening to this. He's the right fit for a team owned by Daryl Cates.
I would, if I were him too, because you've got enough of the old guard, and if you can't get rid of them, here would be my suggestion to Ken Holland. You got the old guard, it's a bit of a problem there, right? So let's say you weren't given carte blanche and you can't move these people on. You can't move them down, can't kick that can down the road. What I would do to counterbalance that is hire a bunch of young, scrappy people. There are people on my Twitter account every day where I go, they're smart enough to work for an NHL team. They are
Hire
smart.
everyone who says you're stupid.
Have 2 or 3 of those people, like Tyler Dello's gone.
Yep.
And Tyler Dello was not necessarily known for being anything but blunt, right? He's pretty like a blunt. The guy was he would just take a hammer to everything. This is what it is.
I never said Tyler, gently spoken.
Yeah, exactly. And it would be great if the Oilers had that, because at least then you have a difference of personality, and you've got, and this is really manipulative, but here's what I would say. If you're pulling all those guys into a room, like you got Craig McTavish, you got Kevin Lowe, I doubt Gretzky's in the room. Even Paul Coffey's in the room. Like, I can't see that. But let's say they are. And you got these young kids coming in and going, I don't give a fuck what your resume says. This is what the numbers say. And you do that for long enough, those guys will move themselves along. Because guess what? They don't need this shit.
Yeah.
They don't need this shit. They don't need some young punk telling them about their team and about their sport that they played at such a high level. They don't need this shit.
And these guys are available.
It's the same argument we made about NHL player safety. Find somebody who's got nothing to lose. Find somebody in that office, and I dare them to go find somebody who's like writing. We had Justin Bourne, who was hired. Who was the guy that did Extra Skater? At least bought Extra Skater.
Oh, for crying out loud. He's right there. I'm Daryl Metcalf.
Daryl Metcalf.
Is that who it is?
I don't know. That
can't
sort of
remember.
predates me a little bit. I would suggest going out and finding those guys and girls. I meant
Yes.
guys as a ubiquitous term. It's everybody.
Yeah.
Go find those people and get them in a room with those people. And they don't have to have great interpersonal skills if they don't have them. They just have to be blunt.
Daryl Metcalf.
Daryl Metcalf.
Yeah.
Find your next Daryl Metcalf and surround him with other people that can look at a graph and understand what it means. And
How long are we gonna have cap
You
friendly?
got a podcast with Ian Tulloch and Rachel Dory. Hire them both. And
How long are
hire
we gonna
Stephen
have-
Birch as well, because Stephen Birch is not going to be kind to your feeling. It doesn't matter. Throw any name at them.
How long is cap friendly going to be online?
Oh, it's going to be gone.
Oh, it's going to hurt my
Remember Cam
feelings.
Sharon?
Yeah.
Cam. And Cam was blunt as they came.
Yeah.
And Cam, who is he still employed by?
Leafs.
Leafs,
As far as
yeah.
I know.
Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, somewhere in there.
That's if I'm Ken Holland and I can't move those guys on, that's what I do. I put the young kids in there who are like, F you.
Yeah.
Here's what the numbers say. Here's what we need to do to get better. And then you find that you get the extreme viewpoints on one side. You get the extreme viewpoints from, like, you get the old guard extreme view, the young guard extreme view, and you come as a manager somewhere up the center, and you find a good team. But you've got to move on from Milan Lucic, and you got to move on from Chris Russell. You have to.
Like, Abdelkader makes too much money, but I think Holland will watch the Oilers play and be like,
You sure would
man,
be good
these
here.
guys make too much money and they're not good.
Yeah.
Like, they're not even as good as Abdelkader. So, like, I think you got to give them more credit than you are. You can't have a resume that extensive and only evaluate them on the last 4 years. Like, well, they won a cup this year and that year and this year and that. What, did they do nothing in between? Like, they had a wicked base. You know, Lidstrom, there's your base right there.
Yeah.
They had a wicked base. But we've seen plenty of teams with wicked bases fall flat on their face. Penguins got swept. They got a wicked base. You got to do smart moves around it. A couple years ago they did and succeeded. Recently they have not and failed. You know, so I actually this is the most optimistic I've been about the Edmonton Oilers in a long time.
And something tells me that Ken Holland is at a point in his life where he doesn't care what the old guys say.
But Adam,
I mean, he is an older guy, but like I wouldn't say that he
No.
would. I don't think Ken Holland cares. Like he's dealt with NHL egos his entire career. I don't think it would faze him one bit.
well, he's 63, not 103.
Jesus. Is it okay to say that people at 63 are probably not going to work for 20 more years? Is that okay
Well,
to
he's
say?
No, 40.
Well, 40, yeah. Right.
He's 63, not 103, Adam.
Good Lord. I hope I'm not working that late. I love what I do, but I do want to be on a beach somewhere.
Lou Lamoriello's still working.
Good
Yeah.
for Lou.
And he's 76, not 106.
Not 176, am I
Not
right?
176.
Hey, just want to add this. Dan Carcillo, who has a different point of view on the Kyle Bukauskas stuff, just tweeted this. So Dan took the player side, which was like, hey, you build a relationship, and and it seemed like this was a bit that you guys had all rehearsed, and it was unprofessional. That's Dan's position.
Really?
I disagree with it, and I told him such, and I said respectfully,
Yeah.
because I wanted to see what he would say, and I said respectfully, like, why is that off limits? And what I would also say is, why can't he and like Kyle and Brad Marchand, discuss this off camera, because they're obviously going to have to talk again, and do what's best for the league, which is get Brad Marchand on camera, because he's one of the most hated figures in the league, and he's rating goal. So here's what happened. Kyle, apparently, Carcillo was just made aware of this info, so it comes from Dan. Kyle saw that his joke wasn't taken well and sought to remedy this situation with Bruins PR. He apologized and said he meant no harm and was simply trying to inject some humor into the situation.
Who is this from?
This is from Dan Carcillo, who has been he's quoting somebody.
Okay, sorry.
He said, apologized and said he meant no harm and was trying to inject some humor into the situation. And the Bruins PR told him there were no issues and that Marchand would be happy to participate in a post-game interview 2 days later. And then reacted the way he reacted.
So he's being a baby.
Well, yeah.
Wait, they handled Brad Marchand internally and said everything was going to be fine, and then it wasn't?
I mean, I shouldn't have brought this up.
Joke.
All right, should we do the press conference?
Whatever.
Let's do it. Man, I'm just saying, go fire. You know what I would do? I would hire I'd hire one person that I really trusted in terms of advanced stats, and I would just call as Jeff Merritt calls it, information. But I would hire two people that are legitimately brilliant, but also crazy. Like crazy enough to say crazy things like 11 forwards and 7 defense. That's crazy in NHL circles, right? I would hire.
It's a last resort.
I would hire people like that, who are like, let's look at this differently, because I can guarantee you, you got one season out of the old boys club, and they'd be like, you know what? I made enough money. What am I still doing here? Why am I in this boardroom with this snotty kid?
I mean, they don't need to bring in all these young people. They have a young one. Ken Holland. He's 63.
Wait.
Not 103.
I was told differently. I was told he was born around the start of World War I.
Rest assured, he's 63, not 103.
Wow.
And that's that.
That's that. Let's do the press conference. Hey, just a heads up. There's a Game of Thrones question in here, and there might be some spoilers. So if you haven't watched the show yet, why are you so slow at watching it? And discuss it with us. And make sure you bring your lighting kit, because everybody gets frustrated when you can't see Game of Thrones creators. Okay. Well, here's the press conference.
The Presser. SDP. The Steve Dangle Press Conference.
Adam, what'd you think of the most recent episode of Game of Thrones?
I thought it was nice that they lit it. I thought it was nice they found their lighting kits. Sometimes our lighting kits maybe don't work as well as we hope, and I'm glad that I can see it. Actually, I'm a little confused. It seemed like they crammed like 3 episodes into one, to be honest with you.
Yeah, the reception to the last episode was not making me want to watch.
Hey, no, sir. Don't take the reception to last episode. You haven't seen it.
Yeah, no, Steve.
You don't know
I
anything
saw the
about it.
reception to
Steve,
it.
you're
I know
the
there was a
reason-
coffee cup.
Steve, you are the reason you don't want to watch.
Yeah.
Don't blame the reception. It's you. And
People didn't like the
if
episode.
let's say this season sucks.
Which
Then
it doesn't
it
so
doesn't
far.
suck. It
I've
doesn't
enjoyed
suck.
it.
I liked the 3rd episode.
Yeah.
I just didn't like that I couldn't see it all. They spent $100 million.
All right, that's not.
Sounds like the 4th was bad.
But my point I'm trying to
talk
make
about
here,
the
Steve,
plot.
is that if you get 7 out of 8 on series, like in a series, 7 out of 8 seasons are great, astronomically, phenomenally, ridiculously great. That's pretty freaking good, man. That's a hell of a lot better than cheering for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Lot
Yeah.
more success rate.
I guess you're right. I should watch Game of... You know what? I found it. I can start from the beginning, and that's what I'll make videos about.
By the way, I love the Toronto Maple Leafs, and I will watch them in sickness and in health.
I will watch the Toronto Maple Leafs and be sad.
I think the most recent episode of Game of Thrones set up.
It's just a setup.
I think Dany's gonna die. 'Cause I think she's gonna go crazy.
Dany's got to go. She's nuts.
She's getting crazy. And then Jon Snow's gonna.
No,
He's gonna be the victor.
Dude.
And they also set up Sansa being like, "Hey, I want to be queen somewhere." So I think maybe she's the queen at King's Landing, and Jon Snow is
So
just
it's a
king
split.
of everything.
So Scotland
else.
is free because that's essentially what the North is. It's Scotland.
Scotland? Is
Let's
that
just-
what you're?
Yeah, that's what it is. Like if you watch the episode, it
Uh-huh.
literally mimics the history of Scotland and England, and the island even looks like them.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, Scotland's free, and then they got conquered, and then they had a rebellion, and they were free again for 200 more years, and then they got conquered again. It's like it's literally like the same thing that happened in British and Scottish history.
That's what I read also.
So I don't know. I would look at it, and I think the chaos part of me that loves chaos, the part of me that's like, it would be interesting to see Mitch Marner get offer sheeted.
Yeah.
that part of me.
They want to see Cersei's win.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
especially because her father told her in like season 3. He's like, you're not as smart as you think you are, and I would just love to see her. Like, I'd love to see her win. I'd love to see the bad guys win. Sometimes that's fun.
What everybody's making a big deal about Jon Snow not saying bye to Ghost,
The dog.
his dire wolf.
You know why, right?
Why?
You know why that dog hasn't been? Well, didn't you? Were you the one that told me this?
What?
Why the dog hasn't been included?
The CGI?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
It's,
why.
it's hard to CGI the damn wolf.
Yeah, that's
Yeah. So that you can't shoot a whole bunch of scenes with something that takes years to animate.
so he couldn't.
Yeah.
He could. But what got me is he couldn't even like wave at the dog.
Yeah.
Like imagine leaving home and not saying goodbye to Iggy and Charlie. That wouldn't happen.
And it's
Like,
not just
no.
leaving home; it's leaving home forever.
Yeah, like you're.
I
Not
literally
coming back.
kiss those dogs on the head every time I leave the house.
Exactly. Go bye,
Yeah.
guys. See you
love 'em.
later.
But what if it was really hard to animate you kissing Iggy?
You know what? You
If you're
should.
Game
You know
of
what you
Thrones,
should.
you figure it out.
Yeah. You know what you should always say when you get $100 million. We didn't do it because it was hard. Also, here's a coffee cup.
Okay, you can't do that.
What?
Because the bad shit's always gonna float to the top. Bad shit always gets more clicks than good shit. So you can't just poke at the damn coffee cup if you haven't seen any of it, Steve.
Also, apparently, a lot of the dialogue didn't make any sense, but I didn't understand the context people were talking in because I haven't watched the show. A lot like the second round of the playoffs, I didn't watch it.
Are you happy one of the dragons died?
Hell yeah.
That was also set up, right? To make her a little more mad.
We should mention, by the way, in the bio that there is some spoilers.
I will mark the spoiler
Also,
part.
yeah. Also, like, I'll just mention it. Like, we'll do a record after this. I'll be like, hey, there's some spoilers at the end, just
Sure.
in case you haven't seen it. You lazy laser
Sure,
things.
sure, we can do that. Anyways,
Next question.
next question. I don't have it in front of me. What did you think of Don Cherry and his war against Carolina?
Man,
that
what's he got?
continues?
Why has he got a thing for against the? It's like
This-
Steve's got Boston, Don's
Yeah.
got Carolina.
Yeah.
Like
Well-
Steve picks on the big bully, Don picks on the little guy.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
Hey, little market. Hey, little team that's finally seeing some success. He called them front runners, essentially being like, you weren't at the arena when they sucked. And the thing is that the Carolina Hurricanes have their playoff history is fascinating because they either go super deep, like they've been to 2 finals and won a cup, and a conference final, or they never make the playoffs. That's it. So it's funny. that today people are tweeting graphs, and I think Jeff Fayette had the last one, which was that their attendance has followed their success, as in people stop going when they're not successful, which has been the majority of their history. They've majority sucked. And Carolina fans would back me up on that. Like, you're not going to go and see a product that sucks. You want to, like, the reason, the second they moved on from Cam Ward, I think, is when they started to see some forward momentum.
Stop hammering objectively wrong takes with facts like they matter.
Yeah, that's
and just
true.
say it's wrong. Here's my chart. Oh yeah, I bet all the people who disagree with you read it. Like,
Yeah.
it's a waste of time.
He also started the rant by being like, how did the Americans pick up what I was saying? And they brought it down there and started doing all this stuff. It's like he doesn't know.
You know,
I'm glad you told me what he said. I didn't watch it. I hate
Dude,
reruns.
he's an old man. Like, of course he doesn't know. What do you mean? How do you? We look at it and go, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Everything's like everything. Steve was mentioned in the Carolina hype video.
Oh yeah.
Like, everything is worldwide now. Don doesn't live in that world, and neither do your grandparents if they're still around, and bless their hearts if they do, if they are. Like, it's just not a thing that they can compute with, and that's okay. That's okay. I just don't understand why he's going after these poor Carolina fans. It's not like they're not. There's a franchise that's finally looking healthy after all these years. What's wrong with that?
It's his thing. It's his thing. Whenever he gets on the air, it's him versus the Hurricanes. And whenever the Hurricanes take the ice, they didn't play Washington in the first round. They didn't play the Islanders in the second round. And they're not going to play the Bruins in the third round. They're playing Don Cherry every time they get on the ice.
Well, they got a new shirt called Bunch of Jerks, but it has a little V upside down and it goes front running jerks.
Yeah.
And they're selling those shirts.
It should be bunch of easily the most likable team in the East right now.
If Babcock was fired and you had to have Randy Carlyle or Ron Hainsey player coach be the coach next season, who are you picking?
Hainsey.
Then Randy Carlyle.
Hainsey,
Yes.
all day.
But Ron Hainsey has to play as well.
All day.
That's fine.
He has to change lines from the ice.
I didn't hate Ron Hainsey this year.
Here's the thing. I know the Leafs with Carlisle are bad. With
Yeah, at
Hainsey,
least-
they might
actually
be
be
bad.
good.
They might also be good.
But he's not.
There's two options with
You're going
Hainsey.
to take the guy who's not a head coach.
Yep.
Yes, Randy Carlisle is bad.
I will absolutely never sign up for that guy to be the head coach.
The correct answer is I don't watch.
Would you rather fight, this is from Battlin_brother, would you rather fight 100 hot dog-sized Phils or one Phil-sized hot dog?
Dog size Phil.
Well, so fighting.
That's a really good question. man.
You can do anything in a fight. Can I bite?
I assume you can eat the hot dog if it's
Here's the
fighting.
thing.
I'll take
If
the
the hot-
Phil-sized
I
hot
assume
dog.
If the hot dog's just out of, like, if it's like a ballpark hot dog and it's one of
yeah.
those ones that's been boiled, it's coming at you piping hot, which means it can burn you. So you
No,
want
But I imagine it also having arms and legs, but like stringy ones.
yeah,
you know?
like you want a
No,
hot
it can't
dog
come
sized
at
Phil.
me. It's
I
a hot
think.
dog.
Because you
So
can,
I just attack it.
you can outrun a hot dog sized Phil.
But 100 of them.
Yeah, you can do that.
100 little hot dog
Start
people.
punting, man. Start
No,
kicking.
That's
But
a
Start
lot.
kicking.
I'd
Then
get pretty
there's the-
tired.
Then there's the traumatic idea of all the murder. That's 100 murders.
But in certain states, there's the stand your ground law. You see, so
Somebody
you can-
also corrected you on that. In Canada, apparently there's a defense law. You can defend yourself.
yeah, but
Yeah.
okay, it's a little different.
People are pretty.
Canada doesn't
Kind.
look too kindly on someone dying in any sense.
Okay. Yes.
Let's just
All
put it
right.
that
This
way.
fight is in Florida.
Oh, then you could just start like, yo, pull out the shotguns, call the neighbors. We're gonna have a good old time. You're on my property. I'm standing my ground.
I literally have
That's funny.
relatives who they live in Florida.
I do too.
And there was a story once upon a time that the woman was at home and like 8 months pregnant. Careful, this might happen to you. She was 8 months pregnant, sitting at home, and she told the husband to be home by a certain time, and he wasn't. He was at the bar, and so she showed up to the bar with a shotgun.
Wow.
And he came home
I'll get you home.
because that's how it works there. I think this is a great place to end the show.
I think so too. Unless Jesse has one more amazing question.
I am good.
Okay.
Do you want to play Max Kellerman farting one more time?
Should we? All right, give me 1 second. I'm just going to pull it up again. I didn't have it right there. All right, Jesse or Steve, I know you've had a really rough day, but Max Kellerman farting could make you feel better, don't you think?
It's right.
It's worth a
after the
try,
cough.
isn't it?
Let's do it.
He ain't scared of anything.
Well, is Draymond
And he comes
scared of
to-
something?
No, but the difference is that Draymond is usually arguing. Look at the video when they show I mean, G. Smith was a nightmare for everybody.
Eric
Until he got
Bledsoe
hurt.
right now. Eric Bledsoe's
a
do that
little
to you.
pit bull himself. Patrick Beverly is that kind of guy, and he's feisty. He ain't scared of anything.
Well, is Draymond
And he
scared
comes
of
to-
something?
No, but the difference is that Draymond is usually arguing and fighting.
It's 100% what happened. Yeah. 100% he farted.
Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake.
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Brought to you by Panago Pizza. Order at panago.com and stuff your face with deliciousness.